mashup. It's a mashup. Mike now runs the show. Mike now is in control. Blind Mike, who are these? It's a mashup. It's a mashup.
Hey-o.
Oh. Oh, I thought we did the intro. Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to Who Are These Socials, the only social media show where we know stuff, and I'm your host, Karl. No, wait, that's not right. I can never remember what he says. What does he say?
Can we banter now?
You watch every week.
He says, hi, everyone, go to Hackamania, and then I...
No. We don't promote that here because the boss is away, so Mike's going to play. It's a fun freewheeling vibe today. The principal is gone, and we can do what we want. Roam the hallways. Who needs to go to class?
Yeah, we got Stunt Joe today, people. Let's have some fun.
This show won't be scripted the way Karl always writes them up. No jingles, no super tips, but you can, of course, super chat us still. If you're watching live on YouTube, feel free to support the show. And this week, Karl gets none of the money, baby. Isn't that nice? So,
I'm erasing jingles right now. Hold on. Just erase. All right, no jingles. I wasn't told. Now, no jingles.
Let's. Did you have jingles prepared?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I prepared nothing.
I like the jingles, but it's nice to take a break once in a while.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trucker Andy, who filled in for me last week while Craig and I go through a divorce. We're separating our assets of Who Are These Socials. I'm kidding you. Do you believe people believe that on Sunday?
Yes.
I'm not going to say a lot of people, but like we got one comment that was like, I can't tell if you're joking about Karl.
He's very polarizing.
How
He's
could
very
you not-
polarizing.
You can't tell if I'm joking? I said he scripts the entire show, and I went along with it.
I got to say, your 600th, show response thing to Karl was my favorite. I made it, but it was also my favorite.
Short and sweet. I try to keep it. But thanks to Trucker Andy for filling in for me last week. The boys did a lovely job without me. I had a personal matter to tend to, so sorry everyone for being away. But now you just get me, and I'm joined by Casey Day, coming off what I think is his best Blind Mike Project performance the other day. Didn't annoy me at all. I thought it was a great episode.
Well, you've set me up for failure now.
That's a feather in your cap.
I have nowhere to go but down. Great. All right.
All right. The other thing I'm eliminating this week, I'm decreeing we're getting rid of banter. We're not doing it. We're just getting right into the show. You guys are paying for it with these super chats, so I'm giving you more show. We're not dilly-dallying, talking about the weather or Karl's dentist appointments or whatever he makes me talk about. We're just getting right into it. So
I had 10 points on Bitcoin and why we should all buy it right now. So I'm just going to scrap that. Okay, I'm scrapping that. Hold on. Let me just.
No, I think the audience will really like that. Let's do 20 minutes on it, actually.
Everyone buy Bitcoin right now. Oh, it's so cheap. All right, we're done. No.
So today, I don't know if we're really doing a crossover per se. It's pretty much Who Are These Socials, but
it's a mashup.
Mixing in some of the topics that I'm not allowed to talk about when Karl's here. So let's get into it, shall we? Are we starting with my good friend Joe List?
Is that who you want to? Do we want to start with Joe List or the Artours of the the other joke? Which joke would you like first, Joe's or?
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. Actually, give me Joe first. Give me Joe List stand up. So, Joe List, if you don't know, my probably favorite touring comedian right now, or certainly one of them. I love Joe List very much. And I think he has a lot of great specials. And he has one particular joke that went viral recently. This made its way around Instagram. And I think it's a very funny joke. There's a reason we're playing it. I'm not just celebrating Joe List. But listen to this joke. And then I will explain to you why we are breaking this down in a moment.
Yes. Did you guys know this? Pablo Picasso, you know when he died? He died in 1973. Did you know that? I thought he died in 1380. I almost shit. 1973? Picasso had a car. Is that unbelievable? Pablo Picasso was driving around Spain in like a Honda Civic listening to Black Sabbath on the radio. Ozzy Osbourne and Pablo Picasso were working at the same time. He saw 6 Super Bowls. I thought he lived next to a blacksmith. The guy's like at home watching the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs on a colored television set, drinking Mountain Dew. And some of you might be like, Mountain Dew, that wasn't out in 1970. It was. Do you know when it came out? I thought like maybe 1975, 76. 1940, Mountain Dew came out. Hitler was jacked up on Mountain Dew. He was like in a bunker, like.
That's the joke. I think it's a brilliant joke. I think very funny, particularly because I'm the same level of dumb or whatever you want to call it, where I was like, there's no way Picasso died in the 70s. I would have thought many centuries earlier. I just had no concept of when he was alive. Obviously, and part of the reason that joke kind of started to go viral was I guess people in Spain picked it up and were like, these dumb Americans, they think Picasso was watching the Super Bowl? And Joe was like, well, no, it's not literal. You're not supposed to take it literally. But then, so the reason we're playing this is these meathead Kelce brothers saw this, and then look what they did on their show. This is from the Kelce Brothers podcast. And look at the segment that they had. And they act as if Jason's learning this for the first time. Clearly scripted, like we do when Karl's here. But this is from the Kelce Brothers podcast. Tell me if you hear any similarities.
When do you think Pablo Picasso died?
I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
For everything that you've seen of his work and maybe like the stuff you've accumulated over life of Pablo Picasso, when was he alive?
Was Pablo Picasso Impressionist movement, or he was a part like after that? Later?
Now you're cheating.
Well, like Renoir and those guys are like what? Like,
Oh, Renoir.
is he the same years as Picasso? I don't know any of this.
Just give it a guess.
Well, because you're like being all
Nice. Context clues.
based on what you're saying, I'm guessing he died late 1800s, early 1900s.
Nice.
Before these context clues,
He was way back there.
I would have said 1600s.
I'm pretty sure he died in 1970.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
I would have never
Hold
thought
on one
that.
second.
Pablo.
So far, okay, it's a fact. Two people can have the same thought about the fact. Listen to what he
Parallel
mixes
thought,
in here. This piece of garbage.
Picasso was drinking Mountain Dew watching NFL football games. How crazy is that?
What a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, he is an NFL football player. It makes sense. That's the only thing he thinks about. So you got to cut him like 10%.
Swifties, I don't know what to tell you. Taylor can do better than this sack of garbage. Fuck the Kelce brothers. This son of an onion saw my guy Joe List, and you might be thinking it could be parallel thought. Maybe it's just a complete shot in the dark, because I famously defended Amy Schumer for stealing jokes. I don't point fingers for joke stealing too often. But Travis Kelce in the comments admits that he saw it. He goes, oh yeah, I guess that's where I saw it.
No.
You gotta give the guy credit if you steal his fucking references.
Yes.
And then it infuriated me because Joe List commented, and he's like, a little credit? And people are like, you hack piece of shit, fuck you. Like, they're going at Joe. And it's like, no, Travis stole. He's a thief. He should be reprimanded for this.
Can I tell you I don't watch Joe List a lot. I saw the Kelce Brothers clip first because he said that first. So I thought Joe List stole it from the Kelce Brothers. I was
come
like,
on.
Why?
No.
I was like, why would he steal a joke from these comedians?
No, and the delivery's all off. This son of an onion. Fuck
Yeah,
Travis
let's
Kelce.
Listen to the rest of their masterpieces.
That's some wild shit to think of.
We should have known, because like acid wasn't invented until like the 60s or 50s, and they didn't start putting like ears on the other side of people's heads. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Jason Kelce's a
That's
real
my history lesson
intellectual.
trivia.
That was
for you.
good. I had no idea.
And by the way, I think I heard earlier in that clip, Travis Kelce goes, oh, Renoir. I think we should cancel this motherfucker for doing an Asian accent. Let's ruin this guy's life.
And why? Asian?
Listomaniacs assemble. This can't be tolerated.
Is that what they're called? Listomaniacs?
No, I just said that.
No. Well, he seems like a nice guy that does good jokes. That is now getting farmed out to the bigger podcasts that
Shameful.
have the
It's
deals.
always it bugs me that like Joe List's group of friends, like Mark Norman, Sam Morrill, Nate Bargatze, Shane Gillis, all these guys are like, they're all very good comedians. But the idea that they're like a level or two up above Joe List is crazy to me, because I think Joe, other than maybe Shane and maybe Nate, I think Joe is one of the best stand-up working today. So
I think
shout out
going
to
with
Joe
like,
List.
it could have been easy to go with like Floyd or Zeppelin, but to go with Black Sabbath there, paints a very funny image. You know, like
Yes.
so he is good at painting an image. This guy.
He's terrific. But that like to do that and make it a segment on a major podcast and not be like, I just heard this on Joe List's Instagram. Like, give the guy a plug or something.
Yeah.
Don't just make it seem like it's your original thought.
Or steal from smaller people. This
Right.
is kind of
Yeah, steal from an open micer.
Yes, like every other comic. We got some super chats, Mike. Would you like to go through those?
Oh,
real quick?
wow.
Go to the next
All
one?
right.
We're already bringing them in. I think the lack of the wood paneling has brought people, their wallets out. Jay Loiterer for $1.99. Thanks for saving my Thursday blind, Mike.
You got it, buddy. I'm here to serve. Karl said, no, it's not who are these socials without me. And I said, the people need content, you namby-pamby wuss.
Thank you. Associate producer Ralph with $2.79 Canadian. Best WATS ever. Well, thank you, associate producer
Very
Ralph.
kind.
Yeah.
I think Karl's very nice when I'm out. I think he says complimentary things about me. I don't know if he's this insulting. I don't know why I chose this angle, but it's fun.
Well, yeah, we're just riding it out. See where it takes us. Beggy Bear, $2. Kane versus Clubfoot. Movie that deserves 100 sequels. You're the Kane.
I got it. I understood.
Okay, well, I didn't get it. I had to explain it to myself and make it look like I was explaining to you. All right, the one pun, $2. If it's a mashup, then where's Cardiff Potato? No, we don't mash the potato. We love the potato.
Yeah, it's really in no way a mashup. I guess we just, in our minds, it's really just my show. I picked all the topics. It's on my channel. There's no elements of who are these podcasts here. It's just
there is. No, there's a few visual elements. And there was that song at the beginning. That wasn't Karl. That was me taking 3 minutes on AI.
Casey's very proud that he replicated Karl's guitar riff.
20 years of guitar playing guitar. Just 2 minutes of me. Get Saturn. Find a singer. Got him. All right. Ray Perbutt. God, I always fall for that one. $1.99. Got last after page 3. Where in the script are we? Oh, got lost in page 3. Where in the script are we? We're in the riffing section.
The playbook has been thrown out this week. You can tell how vibrant and loose I am.
Associate producer Ralph comes back with another $2.79 Canadian. Also, Idiot Autopsy, episode 5, 805. So get moving. All right.
Idiot Autopsy. Do I know that show?
Episode 5, 805 in. Everyone mark that down. Right.
Someone remind me of that because I will forget, but I'll look at whatever that is happily.
Yes. You can always get us on Twitter with that.
Yeah, message me on Twitter to remind me.
Yes. Easy_wider, $5. All for Mike, none for Karl. The Beggy Monster. All for Mike, none for Karl. I guess I'm supposed to do it. That's the Beggy Monster. Yes. I heard, I was watching a Joey Catalano show last night, and he was begging Melton for the Beggy Monster. And I was like, that's hilarious. He doesn't even know where it comes from. He just
really created something special.
It's amazing. All right, where would you like to go now? It could be
want to talk a little about your boy Elon?
Oh yes, we can definitely do Elon.
So I found this funny. This is another thing, another two-parter of sorts. Let's play the video first, because I came across a trending topic, and this is the video associated with you, and then I'll tell you what the topic was associated with this video. So Elon, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but he owns Twitter, or X as it's now known, and people have a lot of controversial. They think a lot of things about Elon Musk, not just his owning of Twitter, but his involvement with the government and all sorts of things. So Elon's a very controversial figure, and this video was trending the other day, and I'll explain why in a moment.
He's like a Cromartie with those kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he is. Yes, spreading his seed.
Yes.
Some of them, I guess, kind of funny. There's, we had to do this. SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark, and I'm like, it's a big ocean, you know. There's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. We said, okay, fine, we'll do the analysis, and then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. We're like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here?
Pause. So Elon Musk is becoming the Pete Gurgio of billionaires, where he's editing hysterical laughter into his videos. He posted this video, obviously, on X, and it went viral. It was a trending topic. And could you read, Casey? I took a screenshot. I clicked, maybe this was just my algorithm. I click on the trending topic and I say, what's Elon trending for? What's the scuttlebutt here? And this is what the community notes or whatever it is on Twitter. Like when you click on a trending topic, this is how Twitter, the company that Elon owns, described the video we are watching.
Yeah, let me bring it up right now, and there it is.
Could you read that for us?
Yeah, let me. Oh, sorry, it didn't come up. Give me one second. There it is.
Timing is nothing here on the Blind Mike project.
Oh my God! They wrote it in this weird font, so I had to try to make it a little bit. Anyway, it says Elon Musk's foray into comedy. Public reacts. That's the title.
First of all, they didn't. I didn't hear anyone talk about this.
Very little reaction. Elon Musk posted a humorous comment about receiving only 4 items when 5 were expected, which led to widespread online engagement. Many fans and observers praised his comedic timing. What? Suggesting he could excel in stand-up comedy. Discussions highlighted Musk's ability to connect with his audience through humor, with some proposing he should appear on comedy shows or platforms. The reactions ranged from fans laughing out loud to suggesting that comedy might be Musk's true calling.
Now that's funny.
Showcasing his versatility beyond his known roles in technology and space exploration. Oh my God, it's some ball washing, baby.
So this is the company that Elon owns, not hiding it at all. At least when Jack Dorsey owned it, they kind of tried to hide it. They pretended that they were unbiased. But like Elon's just like, hey, tell him I'm a great comedian.
Dude, Elon was shadow banning his baby mamas. They would put a post up about him. He'd like make that post disappear. It's amazing.
He's running amok. And I have no issue. Like I know Elon's very controversial. I actually have no problem with the guy. Like I don't love this act. I prefer he run Tesla and Neuralink and the shit that he's good at. But like I don't really have a problem with him prior to a month ago. And I don't think he's some grave danger. I don't think he's Hitler or any of that stuff. I think he's acting very weird. And I think this is a great example of it, where literally he is behaving like this is where you start to get like people are always so extreme and they're like they compare him to Hitler or he's a dictator or whatever. And then when you see this stuff, it has very North Korea vibes. It has, the supreme leader hit another hole-in-one today. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, just a local despot. Maybe not rule the whole. They just want a harem, their own Bugatti, and they're good.
You guys tell me. Can we finish the video? You guys tell me if this is side-splitting hilarious.
Oh my God! Let me pull it back up. I had to switch off of it because it was too funny. It was burning my screen.
I like the idea of Elon doing a tour. Y'all seen this shit?
Yeah.
So low, it's like Final Destination, the whale edition. It's like fate had it in for that whale, and so we have to do the whale analysis. And it's like, okay, yeah, the whales will be fine too,
Let's see what the whale. It's Brian Regan bit. No, June Gaffigan. I'm sorry. No, Brian Regan. I can't remember. It's one of them.
The irony that he's the biggest whale. A whale is the richest man. He's the richest. He's the biggest whale.
It goes on and on. And then there's like, well, what if the rocket goes underwater, then explodes, and then the whales have hearing damage? Like, this is real. This is actually, and we're like, look, if we could make a rocket go underwater and be a submarine, that would be like a feat of physics we could not accomplish, okay?
Bullets cost $5,000.
I mean, the creatures do run by sonar, and you're exploding a rocket maybe in their territory. We just want to study on it.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
Is not how it works. So anyway, just one like crazy thing after another, where so this is why I'm really feeling the pain of the overregulation.
You kind of feel bad for the guy in the sense that like he wants to be funny so badly. He literally has hundreds of billions of dollars. Like, he's the richest man in the world. He now has power. He has real power, like governmental power. He fucks whenever he wants. Clearly, he has made proof of that. Like, he has anything you could really want, and he's creating innovation. But he wants, the one thing he truly wants is to be funny. And he'll never have that. Like, he's not, no matter what people say on Twitter, like, oh my God, his memes are like, the best you could say about him is he's funny for a billionaire. Maybe. But even that is getting exhausting, where it's like, Elon, just do what you're good at, man. You don't have to be on fucking Twitter every day. It's annoying at this point. And I'm with you. I think all the people that rage against him are nuts. But then he does shit like this that gets me, it's exhausting. When you see him posting comedy videos and then he puts in my algorithm, isn't this guy funny? And thinks I'm not going to be like, hey, don't you own this app? As if I'm just going to be like, oh God, I guess a lot of people are saying how hilarious Elon is.
Yeah, he YouTubed your iPhone, or app. YouTubed it. Like, when YouTube ended up on the
oh right, yeah. With Apple
he didn't
Music.
want you there, YouTube. He
Yeah.
just ended up there. All right, Mike.
Isn't this guy hilarious?
What's next?
You tell me. I forget.
You want to do some Alec Baldwin getting confronted?
How could I'm so silly? How could I forget? Yes, I do want to get into this because it's been a couple of days and I haven't really been able to talk about it. We talked a little bit about it on Kirk's show the other day, and then I heard that weasel Karl. I wish he was here for this segment. I couldn't believe this. I heard Karl blame Alec Baldwin in this video. Call Alec Baldwin the asshole, and he said this comedian was hilarious. Those are the words he used. He's a great impression and hilarious. You guys decide for yourselves. I'm sure you've seen this video already, but I'm excited to talk about it.
Alec, it's your favorite president. Look, Alec, I
It's a
will
terrible
offer
impression.
you a total pardon because I want to be friends, right? I want to be friends. I will give you a total pardon for murdering that woman. If
He's
you
doing
kiss the ring,
Shane
kiss the ring,
Gillis's impression poorly.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny thing to say, too. I mean, you're getting punched.
Yeah,
You're getting punched.
here's the thing, though. To me, it's not actually, because like maybe people will view this differently. But here's how I talk a lot of shit about Alec Baldwin, so maybe I'm being a hypocrite. But here's how I look at it. I've made jokes like this about Alec being a murderer and everything. I think it is so ridiculously crossing a line to show up at his house and make those jokes. Like, if I was doing the Blind Mike Project, pick a segment of Alec Baldwin. Splenda Package, Steve Ferentz, whatever your favorite is. Pick a time we've talked about Alec Baldwin. If I did that in his living room, like if I broke into his house and did that, of course he should beat the shit out of me. Like, I would deserve that. I think that's so different and such an invasion of personal space, what this guy is doing. I like the idea that anyone was celebrating. I think most people were kind of on my side. I tweeted out, I 100% stand with Alec Baldwin on this one. Most of the responses I got seemed to agree with me, but a few people are like, oh, of course Mike's going to defend the murderer. And it's like, do you really think we can, it's a fun topic to joke about. It is kind of crazy that Alec Baldwin killed a woman. It's wild. But at the end of the day, if I put myself in Alec Baldwin's shoes, he's not a cold, like this guy calls him a cold-blooded murder. It wasn't premeditated. Someone handed Alec a prop gun, like a fake gun, essentially, and it shot a bullet and killed a woman by accident. Like, I don't really blame Alec Baldwin for that, and I never thought he should have gone to jail. Again, I guess the one argument would be that he was a producer on the movie. I don't know as much about that aspect of it. But, like, from a human standpoint, you don't have any sympathy for this guy in an accident having a woman's life on him, like being responsible for that. And then to show up at his house and do this, I think is such a bullshit move. The idea that anyone found this funny, I'm shocked. But usually me and Karl are in lockstep on this stuff. I was shocked when he said how hilarious this guy was.
Alec, kiss the big, beautiful ring. Come on, Alec. Come on, look at Alec Baldwin, right? He did that impersonation of me. It was not too hot, not too good. But look, we're back in office. You lost. Kamala lost.
It's a
She's
terrible.
somewhere
He's
getting
doing
attacked.
a bad Shane impression.
Yeah, street
Like, it's an-
comedy's hard.
I think.
Mike.
I think it's an awful Trump.
It's terrible. But I couldn't do that in, like, if you just said, hey, go out and harass a man with Trump. That's better than I could do. So
But I keep interrupting. We haven't gotten anywhere near them. If you think this is just a man yelling at Alec Baldwin, Alec is the real spice of this video. Don't you worry.
yes, he is. You knew it was coming eventually. It's like a powder cake ready to blow.
Intoxicated. Look at that suitcase. Unbelievable. Well, Alec, if you don't want that pardon for murdering that woman in cold blood, you can call it first degree, you can call it whatever you want, but it was not good. She's looking down on me right now, smiling, happy. Thank you for
Hey, that was kind of funny. I
confronting
didn't hear
the
that.
man who took me out, who killed me, and that's okay.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
No, you realize, by the
Whoa.
way. No, look at me. I want you to
Yeah,
look in the
sure,
eye.
sure.
You know, you got a camera on me here?
The ring, no, it's the ring.
But you realize my kids live in this building, right? But I want you to know something.
We love the children. We're doing great deals for the children.
Listen to me real careful.
Okay.
If this camera was here, I'd snap your fucking neck and have them break your fucking neck right
Hey-o.
Good for you,
All
Alec.
right, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, ladies and gentlemen, class act. Believe me.
He must have
Believe
to
me.
deal with this shit all day, online, in person. And Alec's a guy that, like, exists in New York. Like, he walks around the streets, which might be ill-advised. But, like, I'm sure people do this shit to him all the time. So, and he has an anger problem. The guy, obviously, to be fair, like, to try and play both sides here, the man has a real rage issue. He called his
Yes, he
daughter
does.
a greedy little pig or rotten little pig or whatever it was. So the man is notorious for having these little outbursts. But this is one where it's like, you're outside of my fucking house. You're filming where I live. Like, I think that's such an invasion of privacy. And the idea that this guy was celebrated and revered by people, I think is so... I think it's such a gross commentary on our culture where people have no understanding of the line. And we'll talk about that a little more with another video we have later. But, like, the idea that you think this is okay and that Alec is the loser for saying, hey, if you film where my fucking children live, I'll snap your neck. You think Alec is wrong for that? I find that so crazy. Maybe people in the chat are disagreeing with me. But I'm totally Team Baldwin here, and I'm usually not.
I'm impressed by the energy this elderly man has at this age to give the paparazzi the same business or this, for decades.
Well, if I'm going to play devil's advocate here, on the same night, well, I'm sure not the same night. I'm sure this was filmed earlier. But the night this dropped, on TLC, you could watch Alec Baldwin go, I just had crippling depression for what I did to that family, and I couldn't get out of bed. Like, he was playing the sympathy card for that. So, like, there are two sides to this, I guess. But just the idea of showing up at his home, and we'll hear, like, this guy does this all the time, which I think is just gross.
Okay. Oh, he's yelling at me. I'm a citizen of this. I was born and raised in
I am a
New York
little
City.
impressed he's not
I
shitting
love-
his pants. Like, I would have been like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, but once you're in the pool, you adjust to the temperature of the water pretty quickly.
I guess
you
so,
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Love you, Alec. Alec, look, Alec, you don't want to attack your favorite president, Alec. Look, I love you. I love you, Alec. He's got more balls than De Niro, that I can tell you. De Niro ran away. Alec
So
confronted
apparently,
him.
like, he also showed up at De Niro's house and fucked with him. And he's like, what a pussy, right? Robert De Niro for running away. So you can't win with this guy. Either you avoid him and you're a pussy, you confront him and you're an asshole. There's no winning. Where it's like, this guy is clearly in the wrong. He's showing up at homes and annoying these people. And if your argument is like, that's what happens when you're a celebrity, you're signing up for this stuff, I do think there's a line. I think if someone yells, hey, Alec, I hated fucking The Departed. I hated Rust. then whatever. I guess that's what you sign up for. But, like, to show up at your house and pull this horse shit, I think is just gross. I didn't really get it. I didn't get what the joke was.
Yeah, Russ didn't feel real to me. I don't know. That's just my impact of it.
A 60-year-old Alec Baldwin in a Western? That didn't...
Yeah. But by the way, I haven't talked to you since the Baldwins, the TV show, came out. And I downloaded it, and I had no plans on watching it. None. And then 30 seconds in, I got suckered into watching the whole thing.
Oh,
He married
really?
a god. Yeah, like my whole I'll break it down in one sentence. He married a goddamn smoke show, and that's what his life is. He just follows around that fucking way hot wife as an elderly man. She's like, goddamn.
Well, she's very attractive, but I don't think she has the personality to warrant.
She hates him.
You know, I guess maybe when you get to that age, like Belichick, because people say the girl with Belichick's girlfriend like controls his entire life. I guess when you're that age, like, in my mind, like, hey, if you're that famous and rich, you can pull some tail. But I guess at that age, like, they're human beings that have their insecurities where they're like, will I ever get ass this hot again? You know,
and
like
they're neat.
they're guys at the end of the day.
Yeah. And they're old guys, so like your knee and your back hurts. Here's just a lady, she's cooking and she's pretty hot, you know. But that wife hates him. I love the silent way she hates him. It's amazing.
We watched the entire episode on Patreon, blindmike.net. If you want to check out our Patreon, me and Craig broke it down the other day. We watched the whole episode live with you guys. So go check that out. It's still up on Patreon if you want to check that out. YouTube members might be able to watch it, but I don't know if it got taken down.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But consider becoming a member.
Yeah, get over to the Patreon. We got some good stuff. We got 10 more seconds with this Trump guy here. Let's see
It's good. He's strong, but also he's weak because he murdered a woman. So that's okay, right?
That at the end is the best Trump impression.
It is.
The inflection there, that's the best impression that he did.
I mean, to be fair, he's not staring down a murderer. You know. So,
right. Well, this guy also made a video saying that Hilaria chased him away. I don't know if that's true. Because he made it a little. He said she was screaming in her Spanish accent at him. I don't know if that part was accurate, but it's like, dude, you're showing up at people's homes. They should be assholes to you. You are a stranger going to their home, calling them murderers, saying things they don't want to fucking hear from some guy. Like, they should treat you like this. I think Alec's totally in the right. I support Alec here. We like to make fun of him on this channel, but I had his back 100% on this one.
If you confront history's greatest accidental murder, you get what you get. You know, like that's why I think you know.
It is weird to be like, I know you're calling me a murderer, and to combat that, I'm going to threaten to snap your neck. That is a little odd. I'll grant you that. It's unusual, but
as the jury is like mulling over what to do.
but the man was provoked, for God's sake.
Yes, he was. We got some super chats. Would you like to
pouring in?
Yes. Okay. I don't know about that, but 2 God, I'm so bad at these. 2 pounds, maybe. From Dang.Lizard. Dang Lizard. Hey, what's up with that? Careful, Blind Mike. We humans agree Elon is the funniest. He is, Mike. We all agree.
Oh, okay.
Brock told us so.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad we've been programmed to think that.
Mm-hmm. J.R. Ryan, $5. Did we ever find out if Alec was using a gun during scene or not? Seems like was Alec using gun during a scene or not? Seems to be the only question that matters.
Oh, meaning is there a scene in the movie where he should be pointing the gun at someone?
Yeah,
I assume so.
I think that's. I mean, that seems like a shot to go to waste. You know, like
it's a Western. Or is he asking? Did they leave that in?
I'm thinking like, yeah. Did they leave the gun scene?
The answer is neither of us has seen Rust. So
we haven't.
I don't know.
That was a joke earlier.
Yeah.
All right. Weird Comet for €5. Still like you to have to super tip with only Tom Meyer's voice, for example. God, these words are so weird. Still like you to have super tip with only Tom Moyers' voice, for example. Have some fun with it. Maybe Ojeda too, but mainly so my money counts more in text. This is a person that wants you to adopt the super tip system here, Blind Mike.
Well, I'm not interested in the voices, but
yeah,
I appreciate the input.
But we have Tom Myers and Ojeda on here occasionally. Go back through the library; they're on quite a bit. Those voices.
Their real voices aren't on here from time to time.
Yes, and then Whittle Watkins, $9.99. Thank you, Whittle Watkins. Ditching the club-footed smile talker and just do 2 BMs a week. Casey, my Goph's gonna walk out of Eugene with a W next year. Fuck you! No, they're not. No, Gophers, get out of here.
Go Ducks.
If listen, you and Aaron Imholt cheer for the same team. Boo, boo. So that's all I gotta say on that one. Sko Ducks. All right, Blind Mike. Are we speaking of washed up? I don't know what that has to do with anything. Is it Opie time?
The Opster?
Yes.
Let's do
Speaking
it.
of Opie. It's
Yeah,
insane,
we
like,
talked about Opie on Sunday, and his bitterness knows no bounds. This is the most, this is the saddest man, and we have a clip of Anthony as well. I think he's kind of getting sick of it. It's amazing, like these two assholes had to do a lot, particularly Opie. You had to do a lot to get me to be sick of talking about Opie and Anthony, and I'm not there yet, but like I am getting there, where it's like you two either confront each other or just fucking get over it. And it seems like Anthony's there. But like Opie has all this anger and hatred for these guys. We'll do a show with him. It's like Opie's the pussy who won't do it. I think Anthony would be open to it in some form or fashion if it was all done right. But I think Opie is afraid of it, which is interesting because Anthony's usually the guy that's afraid of confrontation. But Opie, invite Anthony on your channel. You want to get some numbers? You want to be unleashed? Invite Anthony on and have this shit out. Don't do the thing you guys did before where you're like, oh, yeah, we had some rocky times, but we're over that. Like, everyone knew that was bullshit. I don't know why you guys attempted it. You hate each other. Have it out. Have these discussions with each other instead of on your own separate shows at us. And we have to report back and forth. Hey, Anthony said this. Hey, Opie said this. So it is a little draining when Opie continues to do this stuff, and there's no payoff for it. But here's Opie responding to. We mentioned this on the show Sunday. Anthony Cumia returning to radio, WABC in New York City, and apparently that the company that owns WABC has 300 some odd stations around the country. So the idea is that if Anthony does well, he may have end up being syndicated. It's a lot of AM radio stations. I personally, if you were leaving podcasting for radio, like our boy Aaron Imholt talks about, I would say you're fucking nuts. I don't get the idea of that. I don't understand wanting a radio job over having your own audience and your own platform. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it seems like what Anthony's doing is all kind of promotion. It sounds like it's going to be an easy gig. I don't think it's a full 4-hour show. I think it's going to be a little shorter, maybe not every day either. So it's kind of just free promotion. But this is Opie's take on it. Opie seems to think it's actually a negative, believe it or not.
And thank you, Doom, for grabbing this clip because God knows we're not watching Opie's show.
Shout out to Doom, yeah. I've done it before. So not nearly as often as Doom. I've seen Doom pulling a lot of Opie clips lately. And shout out to him because it is an arduous task.
Oh, my God, yes.
If you remind me tomorrow on my regular live stream when I can sit down and focus, I will give you my whole rant on that.
Oh, good.
But the fact is...
Glad you're doing a show. Glad, Opie, that you're doing a show when you can't think. That's good. It's glad you've decided to turn on the camera when you aren't able to articulate a thought.
A lot of good sounds going on, too, for a listener here.
No, it's good. I was hoping you would have some ambiance, like the police driving by.
Yeah, I often go, I wish it sounded like NYPD Blue in the background of my podcast.
A whole bunch of radio jobs since leaving SiriusXM because they just don't have the money. And, that's partly my fault because I would have to start in a much lower position. But I need to make a certain amount of money. And if I don't make a certain amount of money, then it's stupid to commit to a job pays pennies on the dollar.
Okay. So Opie's logic is if they aren't paying me hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would rather make $0.
Yes.
The options are millions or zero. I refuse to work for a normal living wage. When Opie himself has said, excuse me, he's intimated like, I can't live like this forever. I need to start making money. That's why I need to grow this YouTube channel. He's said stuff like that. And, I really appreciate you guys super chatting because I am getting to the point where I need money. It's like, okay, well then $40,000 a year, some bullshit number as you call it. Also, by the way, very relatable to your audience, Opie. Opie built this common man audience. It was, half the fucking listeners were truckers and like we're listening on job sites. And Opie's like, yeah, if it's not paying me a few $100,000, it really is a bullshit job to talk on the radio for an hour a day.
Yeah. This guy's like, well, I won the lottery once, so I'm just going to sit around and wait till I win it again.
Right.
I'm not working one day because I didn't have to work for that first one. This guy just came along and now I have millions of dollars.
Anthony is say what you want about Anthony. This radio job that he has, I assume he's not flying to and from South Carolina every day. I assume Anthony's going to be sitting in his house broadcasting for, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 maybe, with commercials and just talking politics, something he likes to do. Anthony's also in a position that, like, if he hates it, if the bosses are up his ass, whatever, he can just quit. Like, there's no real downside to doing it. Again, I think radio is kind of dead, particularly AM radio. But, like, if Anthony wants to do it and is taking it as, like, a fuck you to show that he still can do terrestrial radio, I say good for him. The idea that if they offered you 40, 50, 60,000 and you're making $0, I get why that would be insulting to a lot of people. If WABC went to Joe Rogan or Tim Dillon and said, we'd like you to do our morning show. How's $40,000 a year sound? I get why they would say, get the fuck out of here.
It'd be like a day? No.
An hour?
No.
Yeah. We know what Opie's making, and it's roughly 0. If someone gives him $10 on his live stream, he sounds horns and fucking goes bananas. Opie's not making a shit ton of money, and he also has kids that he's going to need to put through college soon. He has a Manhattan apartment. He has a house in the Hamptons. You hear him refer to his nut, where he needs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, a good start to that would be knocking out 50 G's a year, you know?
Yeah. Let your talent do the talk. Oh, never mind.
That's what it comes down to in the end. How much were you looking for? Honestly, I'll tell you. It's got to be a few $100,000 or it's not worth it to me. Because I need to make a certain amount of money.
Then why? Well, here's my question. And again, that's perfectly fine. Like, you know, I'm imagining being on Kirk's show. He would say something like that. Like, it wouldn't be worth it to him to go back to radio for X amount of dollars. That's because he has a job where he's making a lot of money. And I believe, I don't know this, but it seems like even if he lost that job, he would still be okay financially. Opie bitches about money and currently makes $0. So I don't get where this entitlement comes from, that he deserves hundreds of thousands of dollars and anything less than that isn't worth it for what seems like a pretty easy gig. Well, it's not easy if you have zero interest in politics, I guess. Like, if you have no interest in what you'd be talking about, then it would be very difficult. So I understand that part, but it's also good, by the way. We're learning. If you're wondering why Steve Bannon, Tim Dillon didn't conduct his interview with Steve Bannon outside in New York City, we may be hearing why. It's a little distracting in the background.
Yes. Opie talking just politics, I might watch because he has a wet brain, and that would last like 10 seconds before he ran out of things he was told, and then he'd just have to make it up on the spot. It'd be fucking amazing.
I'll tell you what you would get every day, and I don't know if you know this, kid. It's actually a pretty profound thought. Both sides, as a matter of fact, are to blame for all this stuff
every day. Yeah.
Man, if you're extreme on both sides, that's the real problem. These extremists. And they can never agree on anything. That's the problem. And I don't know if you've ever heard this. They're kind of the same person at the end of the day.
Okay,
so that's what every day would be.
That would be boring as hell.
Yeah. Going back on AM, I've been throwing around the number 40,000. That was more of a guesstimate by my agent and manager at the time. They were paying nothing.
I don't understand people that say guesstimate. Estimate is already essentially a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people change it to guesstimate?
Because it's fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun watching this.
Woo! Compound
Opie's
words are fun.
Opie is footloose and fancy free. He is the personification of fun.
Don't tell me you never said Brangelina. I know you have, at least one time.
Well, that's a little different.
We like that.
And I would have to sign a contract. And then I wouldn't be able to really do much of anything else. I guess I could probably continue my podcast or something.
Yeah, what are you talking about? That was based on nothing. He's like, I'd have to sign a contract, and then I couldn't do anything else. Anthony literally said, the show that I've been doing for 11 years is staying exactly the same. He's keeping it the same time. He's doing it the same days. Like they haven't, to my knowledge, they haven't told him he can't say anything. I do suspect eventually, like we're all riding high off the Trump train, baby. Ooh, times are good. But I suspect there will come a time where the idea of Anthony screaming the N-word with Nick Fuentes and going off on his rants with Gavin McInnes, or the pictures he tweets of black people and some of the statistics, I think some of those might come back to bite him with a terrestrial radio career now. So that'll be interesting to watch. But the idea that Anthony, like, you know, now has to retire from podcasting, I think they specifically want people. Like, this is actually a smart radio move for once. You almost never see that. You never see radio people make a smart move. Whatever you think of Anthony, by the way.
This is AM radios, usually where like the sports people who are banished, that's where they go. So it's kind of a training ground for the banished people, you know?
Yeah. Even if you think Anthony's like a racist, awful person, like the people listening don't give a fuck. Like they want someone who's going to bring an audience, and I think they see when Anthony's on YouTube, it still gets views and has attention. Like Anthony has people that he is bringing. Anthony's audience is also older now, and a lot of them are in New York City. So it's probably a smart move by this radio company. Very rare for them to do something smart. And the idea that Opie, who has railed against radio people forever, and all the dumb decisions they make, the idea that he's looking at this as a bad move for radio and a bad move for Anthony, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, if Anthony said, I'm leaving podcasting for AM radio, I'd go, what the fuck is this guy doing? How out of touch is he? It's like a side project. Instead of napping at 10 in the morning, Anthony's going to be doing a radio show. Like, what's the difference?
It might be just clicking one extra button on his stream thing. Oh, I'll stream over to those guys too. Look
He's
at me
playing.
on radio now.
He's playing 2 hours less video games a day.
Yes.
You know, that's why Anthony isn't going all in with his lame ass show on a AM station. He ain't going all in because they're not paying. So he's got to keep
his video, by the way,
going.
had multiples more views on Doom's channel than it did Opie's channel. That's saying something, because the videos where Opie talks about Anthony, those are the real attention getters.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Opie actually gets views. So, like, most people are watching it on just a guy who clips shows channel. They don't even give a fuck that Opie's talking about it. So for him to say, like, oh my God, AM radio, no one's going to be listening to him. Again, there's a point there if it wasn't coming out of Opie's mouth, you know? Yes. Like, no one is watching this guy. The only reason he's getting attention is because people are interested in this relationship with Anthony. Like, that's why we're talking about it. That's why any other show that's talking, that's why Doom clipped it, is because of the Anthony angle. If Opie was doing this rant about Elon Musk, no one would give a fuck.
No. The next one is called Audience.
Oh, yeah. So he's talking about the audience that I believe Anthony will be taking with him.
I'm not talking to tens of people. I actually talk to thousands. Thousands.
No, you don't.
When you put it all together.
I'd have a tough time finding a video with thousands of views. And if I find one, I guarantee you it's got Anthony or Jim Norton's name in the title. 1,000,000%.
But Mike, when you put it all together, he said. So when you count.
Oh, when you add up every video?
Yes, I guess that's what he said.
And by the way, can I say something, Opie? I have thousands of views on my videos. That's not an achievement. Like, Opie, if Opie saw this video, and so if someone tells Opie, hey, Blind Mike's going after you, he would say, who the fuck is that? Well, my channel's doing better than yours. And I agree with you. But here's the thing. I agree with you. Who the fuck is that? Nobody. And yet even I'm doing better than Opie is. That's what Opie ignores when he does these rants. He wants to play the victim and say, oh, the reason my channel is not successful is because Anthony turned everyone against me. And then also say, I have thousands upon thousands of views. which isn't a lot, and also you don't.
When you put it all together, this live stream will go on my other YouTube channel, OPIE Unleashed NYC. It'll go on my Instagram. It'll go on my Facebook.
Wait, so he's on one YouTube channel and he's going to post it on the other YouTube channel?
Yeah, this is not my main one. This is just one for ideas, and then I
What
post it
good
over
would
there, and it
that
goes
be?
big. No, it does no good. What's
They're both OPIE. They're not. There's no. Like, we talked about the possibility. I don't know if we're doing it. Karl's not mad at me for saying this because I have no idea. We may not do it. But we talked about the idea, like, would it be better to have Who Are These Socials on a different channel, just algorithm wise? I think that makes sense because they're two different shows.
Mhm.
OPIE is one man doing the same thing on two channels. If you put this video on your big channel and then your little channel, who's going to be like, oh, this is really boosting the algorithm? It doesn't OPIE has no instinct for this stuff. I really always thought OPIE was the guy with some level of radio instinct. And my example for that was not just what you heard on air on the Opie and Anthony show, but like when you look at Anthony and Jim Norton's shows individually, like they didn't have that instinct to run towards the flame in certain situations. They weren't trying to cause fights and drama and shit like that. And that's what Opie was good at. But I don't know if he lost it, if it was actually the producers, if it was propped up by just his ego made me believe that he was pulling those strings. I don't know what it was, but he lost those instincts. He has none of them now.
And this one most likely won't make it to my podcast. But in the end, my live streams reach thousands of people. Thousands.
Congratulations.
Just more false info that I talked to 10 people.
Well, Opie, you did this for a lot of years. Do you think the guy literally meant 10? You know? Like, was he literally counting every... He's like, oh, there's false information. He's not a journalist. He wasn't reporting news. A guy just said, hey, you have 10 viewers. He's exaggerating for effect. You've done it many times. When you said fucking Scott and Todd had 10 listeners or whatever, did you really mean that? And by the way, Opie, you lied about a lot of that stuff. You would say Opie and Anthony was bigger than this show and bigger than that show and had millions and millions of listeners. And often that was a lie. Like, it was just bullshit coming out of your mouth. So you're the worst perpetrator of that.
Stut Joe does that with the grammar correcting. Right, you make that drop a hammer on him and be like, "That's not how you spell there." It's
right, a
D-A-C-I-R."
distraction from what the guy is actually saying. Like, well, you said 10, so I'm going to focus on that. When it's like, just respond to the gist of what he's saying.
For what?
I can't tell you. How much I despise the people that drink Anthony's bullshit Kool-Aid and give him a pass on everything. I despise you people. You got to be some of the most dishonest people in the world.
Really?
I literally despise you. The crap that Anthony has done, the crap you could talk about with Anthony.
Really, he's moved on.
I despise you for ignoring all that.
Like, then say what you're talking about. Here's another thing I hate. Say what you're talking about. Because Opie's always like, he's done things. Now, here's the if you want to talk about the negative feedback I get on Anthony, I don't know how much of this is true, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago where, like, there's I believe, Beige Frequency documentary on Anthony where he exposes things like Anthony talking to some girl who had, like, an Amazon wish list. And she was like 14 or 15, and Anthony was messaging with her and all this shit. Like, I have no idea how true it is, which is why I never really talk about it. I have no way to verify that stuff. So I don't even like bringing it up. But, like, you see that circulate on Reddit and stuff like that. So Opie is either intimating things like that, like Anthony's a pedophile or something, and doesn't have the balls to actually say it, or he has nothing. You know what I mean? Like, either come out and talk the shit you want to talk, or just avoid it. Because this stuff, like, and he's done it all the way back to the famous Opie and Anthony fight, where Leave It Alone, where Opie's always like, I know things. I got stuff I could say about you. Say it. To honor my fallen co-host, just do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it, Opie, for God's sake.
Well, this fits in with what Anthony was saying on Sunday when we were talking about him, when Anthony was going about how he goes to coworkers and then falsely saves them so he can hold something over them. That's exactly the same vibe, just a different act. But that's the same kind of personality.
Right,
that
manipulation, holding something over someone's head.
Control freak over, beyond and above anything I've ever seen. And oh my God, I'm a control freak. All right, here we go. This one's called Not Jealous. Because he's not jealous.
Well, as you could tell, the first two clips really show that, but this displays how not jealous he is of Anthony's new job.
All kidding aside, I think going to AM radio is kind of stupid and bogus, considering where the world is with podcasting and satellite radio still king. And
this asshole has been talking about wanting to get a job in radio for 10 years. He's been talking about wanting to go back to radio. Why would you have signed with Westwood One when you did? If you think that's such a horrible... Opie keeps talking about wanting to go back to radio. Now, he says, and he may say it in this clip, that WABC reached out to him as recently as February 11th to try and hire him. I don't know a lot about business, as you guys may know. I'm not a business guy. Go to blindmike.net. I barely think to promote it. I'm not well versed in that world. My understanding of how business works would be there might be different markets for different levels of talent. So you might look at a guy like Opie and say, okay, well, this man averages about 78 views, and that's not exaggerating. Roughly, maybe it's in the low hundreds. He averages for views on each video that he gets on a channel with over 100,000 subscribers. His TikTok doesn't really do much. His podcast is incredibly sloppy. He records at a bar with a waiter. This guy, we could probably offer $40,000 a year. Yes. And Anthony, who still has a reputation as a smart political talker, even if you disagree with his opinions and think he's crazy, he can articulate his points very well. He's still relevant. He will go on podcasts that have big audiences to promote. He's a draw. When he's on shows, the numbers go up very often because people want to hear from Anthony. There's an exclusivity there because he's behind a paywall. So when you get to hear him on terrestrial radio, people that might drive people there where they can hear it for free, that guy might garner a few more dollars than the previous gentleman I was talking about. So Opie is in this world where Opie and Anthony always negotiated the same contract. From WNW on, they made the same amount of money. So in Opie's mind now, well, that has to carry on forever. Whatever someone offers me, they have to offer Anthony. And unfortunately for the Opester, I don't think that's the case anymore. So just because Opie was made an offer, which Opie's also a pathological liar, I have no idea if he actually got an offer. But let's say he did. That doesn't necessarily mean that Anthony got the same offer. You don't just look at two guys and you're like, well, we only have $40,000, so whoever accepts first gets it. That's not how business works.
They break a pool cue in half, and they're like, all right, one of you is going to be working with us. You two figure it out.
Right, fight it out. Where Opie is right is radio is dying. Anthony seems to believe that this is a station that is doing very well, and they've run it pretty smart. And it's not this big corporate. It's not owned by one of the 3 or 4 major companies, which is probably why they would hire Anthony. So, I'm sure there are still radio stations that make money. I will say, here in Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub, gets massive ratings. They do in the 20s, which is, if you don't know radio ratings, astronomical numbers. And they had to make budget cuts a couple years ago. They're dominating in the market and they had to lay people off. So even thriving radio stations aren't necessarily blossoming. So that's where Opie does have a point. But it's ridiculous to think that if a radio station called me and they also called Tim Dillon, that they would offer us the same amount of money. It's just not how it works.
Whoever touches the money first gets it. Go.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of falling apart, is above AM radio. the fact is he'll be talking to a lot more people than me. And if it helps stroke his stupid ego, my thought is if it strokes his ego enough, he'll leave me the F alone finally. So that's what I have to say about that. But I'm not wishing him well, because every time I wish him well, he'll write me back, "Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. I really appreciate that." And then the next time he goes on some low-level live stream, because he's unprepared, he goes and attacks me. Go F yourself.
This is what sociopaths do. Is they take these little subtle jabs, and Opie's done it since Anthony got fired. Like when Anthony got fired, and it was just Opie and Jim, Opie would start saying like, "Boy, management really loving the direction of the show lately." Like he would talk this shit about Anthony not being there very subtly, so that when Anthony would ignore it, and then one day Anthony would say, "You know what? Fuck this guy. And here's all the things I hate about Opie." And Opie would go, "Oh my God, I'm a victim. He drew first blood." I don't know if that sounds like anyone you know.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Opie will take these like little subtle shots at people. And it's weird because the Opie and Anthony strategy was always, you shoot a spitball at me, I fire back with a howitzer. And yet Opie does this little passive aggressive, people seem to be liking what I'm doing. There's no racism here. It's all none of the politics crap. Like, ooh, who could he be talking about? And then when Anthony responds, he's like, "Whoa, why are you talking nasty about me?"
Yeah, Harpua in the chat nails it with Opie is a dry John, just a dry version of John. And
yeah, it's weird. Karl points this out a lot, but it's weird the personality traits. I guess it's not weird. I guess we're attracted to these.
we are.
It's like when you see a guy who's constantly dating the same type of girl, you're like, I guess that's what he's into. That's what we're into, is that version, that strain of mental illness that John and Opie and Aaron and all these people happen to share. We just, they suit our fetish.
It's like there was a store in the mall back in the 90s where all the weirdos went, and we're just sitting outside of it watching them go in, watching them come out. And we go every day. That's our place.
And we're in some ways we're just as bad because we're showing up at the mall every day.
Possibly worse. Possibly worse. We're like, look at these weirdos in the malls every day watching people.
Yeah.
Wait a second. That's
freaks.
Would we want to do it Cumia's now? Just as
so this is
balance.
I found this interesting. This one's from Stalin 19. He clipped this from Anthony's show, and I found this interesting just because we heard Anthony recently. I think we played it Sunday, right? Did we play Anthony's response the other day?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And it was a spirited like "fuck you" to Opie.
Yes, it was.
This is much more of like I'm just over this guy. And I hope he stays true to that because, like I said, it is starting to get a little old where they say the same shit about each other back and forth. So I do hope Anthony kind of takes the high road with this stuff because, say what about Anthony, I think he's a much better broadcaster than Opie. It's not close.
No, not even.
So I hope he does stick to this. Maybe this will be the last time we hear Anthony address the Opster.
I find it to be a very good thing, very positive thing. Moving
He's just talking
forward.
about his job in general, and then he ties that into. He doesn't name who he's talking about. See if you can decipher it.
And people that are scared, they don't want to take those chances. They have zero confidence in their ability to do anything new or different or challenging. To those people, they would have to shit on it out of, God, if other people are doing this, why can't I do it? Why am I not getting offers? And when I do, why do I shy away from them and run like a scared little kid? Whenever anyone else moves forward, if you're a person like that, you don't like that. You want everybody to be stagnant because that's what you do. That's what you've been. And it only accentuates that. It only brings it to your attention. It reminds you that you're stagnating, doing nothing, accomplishing nothing. And So, the only defense you have against that is to shit on it and talk about things like they're, terrible or not a good move or something like that. So there are certain people that will do that. I try to pay them no mind, but it's part of my personality. I sometimes get put in a position where I feel compelled to address it.
That kind of made me feel good for Anthony, where he was like, "I'm not doing this with you anymore," because maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that clip to me said Anthony looked at all this saying like, "I'm giving this guy life now. Me responding to this gives him something to talk about,
Right.
and I'm just done doing that." And I kind of respect that from Anthony, where it's like, well, all this guy has to talk about is how awful I've been to him. So let me just stop being awful to him, and then he'll have nothing.
Right.
He will have, if Anthony and Jim never talk about Opie, Opie will have nothing to talk about, and he'll just continue to talk about Anthony and Jim and look crazier and crazier by the day.
I think that the radio job has sort of provided a form of closure for Anthony in a way he can walk away from this knowing that I won every battle with this guy, every single one, all the way into the end. I'm even going to have a prettier coffin. My grave's going to be better. It's over. I don't need to talk to the guy anymore.
Yeah, it won't be. Something will happen, and these two will go at it again. But that is kind of a nice, if it is over, that it would be a nice way for Anthony to end it and be like, it's kind of sad what you're doing. And by the way, what Anthony's referring to there about taking chances, like I said, Anthony could end up being syndicated. Anthony could spend the final years of his life, like Rush Limbaugh, just
interviewing presidents,
talking to the elderly around the country, and interviewing presidents if he wants to.
Having Dan Bojingo on,
Bongino,
whatever, that guy.
Dan Bojingo. Joe Beningo was a great New York radio guy, but and the thing he's referring to with Opie's contract is like Opie even said, they offered me like 40,000 plus incentives. So for those of you, for the layman out there, those of you that aren't as well versed in the English language as I am, incentive means if you do really well, you'll make more money. And Opie looked at that and said, "Fuck that. No, thank you."
I already got the penthouse. Why would I work a day in my? And he's got a point there. Just as a laziness factor, I agree. Mike, we have some super chats.
Well, let's hit them.
Yep. All right. So let's do
this
one here.
That was the longest time ever spent on a topic on who are these socials.
It was
easily. It's got to be right. Maybe Woke Dad. We've spent that long on, but
with the zero musical stingers. Zero.
Yes, that's right.
If the coach Eddie Valentino for $5. If that comedian, he's talking about the Alec Baldwin Trump comedian. If that comedian bothered Alec at a public appearance area, I'd honestly be against Alec. But you make a great point. Right. He's being bothered at his home.
Yeah. I honestly, if he did that at a red carpet or something, I'd probably find it funny. I don't even think I would say a negative word about him. He went to his fucking house. Like that to me is the line.
Yeah, that's a line crosser. Steve C for $2. If you weren't blind, more people would hate you. Oh no, boo. Fact. It says.
That's such a mean thing to say,
Steve. Well, thank you for the $2, Steve.
Thank you, buddy.
I come buckets.
It's very
for $2.
funny. Because I don't even know. I don't quite know what it means, but it's one I'll think about.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say all people. He just said more.
Just more people. Like, it was reserved.
Yeah,
he's conservative.
You get a bump in the hate meter. That's all. Not full hate, but I come buckets with $2. HACKRIDE's channel, top tier content. Right, I come buckets. Thank you so much, and your tenner's coming to you. It's sponsored advertising now on the Blind Mike Project.
And you guys are doing a show after this, right?
Correct. We are gonna use your tailwind and coast off you. We same audience, kind of. If you like Riley Martin, come on over. We're doing an unboxing Riley Martin right after this. Delta Zero for $1.99. Love this duo. HACKRIDE. Mike. HACKRIDE is not here.
This is Casey Dave, folks.
Mike does not like
guy.
HACKRIDE. Yeah. Blame. By the way, all of you blame Tom Myers for that. Thank you. All right. Dang Lizard 2. I think that's Euro. Opie doesn't post on Unleashed. He restreams quote unquote live, which means I don't think he.
That's so unleashed of him.
Yes. Let me edit this. All right, now it's unleashed. All right, Mike, we have a few things here before Woke Dad delete Lawz. We have a boy that's now a lady And
Oh yeah, let's watch that one because that's a Who Are These? So who is this person?
Fuzz 99, I believe.
Karl has talked about them before.
Yeah. Oh no, it's officially a him now or a her.
Okay, it's a him. Karl brought this person up before, and
she's with us now.
I don't remember the name, but I found this. Someone sent this to me, and I found it to be. This is a puzzler. I don't know if I can wrap my mind. I try to be woke. I try to be with it. I don't know if I can wrap my mind around this one.
It's a very funny picture to start with, people. Here, it looks like she's about to deep throat. Here we go.
Being trans is when you go from being a boy to a girl or a girl to a boy. Not exactly. Well, what is it then? I'm glad you.
What an infuriating way to speak. Am I wrong? What a just completely annoying way to do this.
I gotta say, it's like 17% Rob Saul, this thing. There's a slice of Rob Saul in here.
Well, I think I've got it. People don't understand my lifestyle, and they don't seem to be particularly accepting of it. What if I annoyed the bejesus out of them while I explain it? Maybe then they'll understand.
Then and only then.
People who identify as trans don't identify as the sex they were assigned at birth. Meaning, anyone who identifies not as the sex that they were assigned at birth can identify as trans if they want to. And believe me, there are a lot of identities under the trans umbrella.
And listen, I'm trying to be on board with the movement, baby. Like my friend Dave Cullen, I'm trying to be an ally here. What the fuck is she talking about? Or he?
No, Rockerby 2005 says, "Hello, I'm trans. My pronouns are fee fi fo fum." Hey,
so the she or he? What are we deciding on? Because I gotta choose one.
From birth, a she.
Okay, she is saying that if you're trans, it doesn't mean you were born a boy and became a woman, or you're born a woman and became a man. It means that no matter the sex you were born, if you're not that, you're trans. What's the difference? This is where it's very confusing for me.
I don't want to get her to explain it again, so I'm just
break
gonna
it down in
nod and
simple
go
terms.
Identifying as trans aren't just for trans men and trans women. Non-binary people are trans. Trans mask people are trans. Gender fluid friends.
What's trans mask?
Hold on here. Doing a quick search.
That's not
My
COVID
guess is
related.
Mask, I think. Okay, so mask stands for masculine, and transsexual masculine. A term used to describe people who are assigned female at birth but identify with masculinity. So this would be, or G.I. Janes.
If you're a gal that likes to, toss the pigskin around. Why can't we just call? Hey, you know what? Let's all go back to that. Can we just say like, hey, she's a little more masculine, and this time we'll be cool with it. We won't bully them. We'll just all go back to being like, this guy's a little flamboyant, and this lady's a little butch. Who cares?
Worked through the 90s, and it worked for us.
It's
trans.
Incredibly exhausting.
It is.
Agender friends, demi boys and demi girls. Literally so many other identities are trans too. And it's actually pretty freaking cool.
This also feels dated to me. Am I wrong? I feels like we're kind of past this.
It does. I don't know. We'll never be past this, Mike. These people.
Trump, baby. He's shipping them out.
I mean, there were Egyptian, like you go back in time, thousands of years, there was trans people, and thousands of years from now, there'll be trans people. And it's just sort of how society deals with them, which I think fluctuates and changes. And I think we're more in a honest place now than I think we were in a little fairy tale before.
It feels, I guess what I'm saying is, though, it feels dated to be like, actually, there are 197 genders. It's like, yeah, you tried that and it didn't really work,
It just, I mean, listen, let people be who themselves. Oh, I'm in California.
Do
let
what you
everyone
want.
Be themselves. Yeah. But I really we grew up with the thought of like, you got to learn yourself and be that, even if they're the ugly and the good and the ugly, like that is who you are. And like we'd eat mushrooms and we'd find ourselves and we'd destroy our ego. It seems like these generations get farther away from that. And they're just like, I want to be this thing. Fuck everything. I'm just going to go towards this thing. Like
when you're quibbling over language, it's when you should step back and say like, gang, we did it. We're accepted. Everyone's cool. Like, if the biggest fight you have is like, they called me a she and actually I'm a Zim, it's like, well, this isn't a struggle that you're dealing with.
Yeah, eat a mushroom and go to the woods like we used to do. And if you come back and you're as weird as you were when you left, then we'll give it to you. Here you go. Sure.
A lot of people, by the way, it's funny you mentioned that. A lot of people, and I don't believe this is the only thing that contributed. But remember we talked about Owen Benjamin the other day?
Well, I do remember.
A lot of comments say that was entirely triggered by Joey Diaz giving him a star of death, like an edible, that's like 1,000 milligrams or something. And Owen Benjamin walked off the podcast and was found on like a park bench later. And they say he's never been the same since. A lot of people said that.
1,000 milligram? Yeah, that's a lot.
They say he's never been the same.
Maybe
that's what this fella did.
What is Blind Mike's top dosage ever, all time?
50, and I was...
Oh, my God.
I took a 50 milligram edible, and we were just home. Like, I took it before bed, and me and the skirt were sitting on the couch, and we were watching TV. We typically, on a weeknight, we'll go to bed at the same time. And I said, you know what, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Usually, weed makes me a little sleepy. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to stay up for a little while. She goes to bed, and I'm sitting there, and I feel totally fine. I was like, oh, it's not really hitting me that much. And then when I decided to go to bed, I turned the television off, and I stood up for the first time. And I legitimately almost called her into the room to like come and get me. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then I gingerly like almost crawled into bed.
Everyone close your eyes and do some picturing. It's a funny image.
So that's 50 for me.
One might say that they're trans or that they identify as trans. Doesn't mean that they identify as a trans man or a trans woman. It's just an umbrella term. They could be any identity under the trans umbrella. And we shouldn't assume people's identities. But no matter how someone might identify under the trans umbrella, we love all our trans friends! Oh.
It's a good laugh. It is interesting, like, to make her the spokesman to be like, how can we make our message as intolerable as possible? Like, to make it just really exhausting for people. Like, that person must know, if you want to educate people, the people that don't agree with you are going to look at that video and be like, well, fuck this. I'm not listening to this nonsense.
Yeah, the PR team for trans has really got to get it together. They got to get some, cool people out there. Like,
I think it's the problem with my generation on like every issue is we were like, well, if you don't understand me, then fuck you. Oh, people could not understand us and then eventually understand us if we give them a little time. Maybe don't tell them to fuck themselves because they're a little confused about something.
But then I have to think a different thing, and that's so hard to think. Right. I don't want to think a different thing. All right, Blind Mike, what's next? We have Chipotle. That one worries me a little bit, just from the pro team there. But we also have.
Oh yeah, we'll skip that because we were right. We probably will get taken down. It wasn't that great. Nesson is a terrible network. They aired a commercial during a Bruins goal. It was kind of funny, but we can skip it.
Yeah. We have Alex Stein who submitted
Let's do that.
a comment. Okay.
Let's do that. Well, we're still somewhat close to the Dabbleverse talk. Craig actually sent me this. Craig, it marks the first time in. My God, we've been doing the Blind Mike project for 4 years and 2 months now, and finally, Craig sent me a link to something and said, "Look at this." Time? I was amazed. I couldn't believe. No, he's done it a couple times, but it's rare. Okay. But no, Craig sent me this video of Alex Stein. Talking about the Dabbleverse, and I found it interesting because Alex Stein's usually a proponent of the Dabbleverse, and that there's some points I think I agree with here. So I wanted to talk about this just a little bit.
Wow, I appreciate that. BYB, they got a good show. They got a good show. If you guys like the Dabbleverse, me, I don't really like the Dabbleverse.
Oh, no.
No, not really. I mean, I love Kevin. I do like Kevin. Love Kevin.
Oh,
think
hey,
Kevin's
Alex.
funny.
How is that the one guy you like?
Most
Kevin Brennan's
hateable fucking-
spiraling. Did you hear that drunk driving call Karl played?
Yes. So he played part of it like a week ago or whatever, and so but the full call I just heard, and that's my god. So
Yeah, Jesus. How is Kevin Brennan the one guy you think is respectable in this crew?
I thought he like made a deal with the cop, like, hey, buddy, I'm gonna talk some shit. You know, you just kind of go along with it. You know me, huh? But
That's
then
right. That's how you know a crazy person, where he's talking the way he talks online in real life. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of always thought with Kevin Brennan, it was like sort of an act. Where like if you saw him in person, or if he ever went to the Comedy Cellar or whatever, he wasn't interacting with these people in that way. And that body cam footage was like, oh God, he's that guy all the time now. He's just spiraling.
I call it streaming psychosis because you act like a streamer outside of streaming. And so, we're gonna have studies on this in like decades to come. How streaming was like as bad as cigarettes and all that shit. You know.
I will say, if we're keeping on the theme of chastising Karl, since he's not here, I can finally speak my mind. Sans script. Karl had the craziest opinion about Kevin Brennan. He's like, I think this conversation with the cop was because I'm a little brother and Neil is Kevin's little brother. I didn't understand what the fuck he was talking about. He was relating it to Karl's brother Grant, and Karl is like, this is all. It was some very psychological breakdown that I didn't understand. I might ask him next week if it's still on my mind. I might ask him to explain that to me because it was baffling. But I think even
they all just need.
even Adam
Go ahead.
Bush, who fancies himself a psychiatrist, even he was puzzled by it, I think.
Yeah, I think they all just need to fuck, get it over with. It sounds like that would pretty much get it over.
right.
All right, Alex.
What's
back.
happened to his channel. But Dabbleverse, just everybody's mean. Everybody's really mean to each other for no
Alex
reason.
Stein saying that.
So,
You know what?
Yeah.
Now that I'm listening to it again, I think maybe he's fucking around.
Might be.
But this is one, like, a lot of people say this. I hear Gino Bisconti say it a lot. You hear a lot, John would always talk about it. This idea that you're lumping everyone in, like, I don't think everyone that listens to this show is from the Dabbleverse, certainly, but we have some people that are. So you would say this is like a Dabbleverse show. So the people that come from that world have always been perfectly pleasant to me. Now, are there cunts? Of course. There are cunts in every group. I don't understand this idea, like, Aaron's who I'm thinking of. Aaron talks about it all the time. We're like, the Dabbleverse is poison. And it's like, well, why is it more than any other? Like, if you go on anyone's subreddit, go on any podcast subreddit, they all hate the show they're talking about. They despise. If you go on, like, we like Big J. We talked about Big J a couple weeks ago. Go on the Bonfires subreddit. They hate those two guys to the point where you're like, why are you consuming this product? You seem to hate these people. So if you're judging by Reddit, sure, they're mean and nasty. But I just wanted to defend the Dabbleverse a little bit. And now that I'm hearing it again, maybe Alex is joking. And I took it too seriously when I watched it. But it is like,
I've got to be joking.
enough people say that I'm like, why are you letting whatever the percentage is of assholes paint the picture of the entire world, Yeah. Like, people say, like, I'll hear people at Barstool say that about Minifans, like, oh, they're crazy. I'll be at a live show with them tomorrow and Saturday. They're the nicest people on the planet. And I'm sure there are people there that say mean things on Twitter, either trying to be funny or just being dicks, whatever. But when they meet you, hey, Mike, what's going on? They're perfectly conversational and polite. It's not real life on the internet. I get it gets people worked up, but this idea that any world is like, it's so toxic. Even like the Opie and Anthony subreddit was terribly toxic. Get off Reddit. Like, stop going on hate sites. And I use that term loosely because I don't think that's what Reddit is. But like, stop going on places where the focus is shitting on a guy. Like when we heard Brian Cowan with Matan Evan. Yeah, just stop going to the Fighter and the Kids subreddit. They have an opinion of you. You're never going to convince them otherwise. That's just not a place for you. They like to shit on you. You like to not shit on yourself. So avoid that one area.
Yeah, he's got to be joking because I just saw a video of him chasing down a one-eyed congressman and like yelling things at him. So he's like, do that. Then he's like, oh, the Dabbleverse is terrible.
Yeah, I see. You know what? Craig sent me the video, and I say this guy is always so solid. This Craig Ironhead Coney fella that I should. Now that I'm hearing Alex's tone again, I'm like, maybe he's just fucking around. But let me hear it.
Keep sending the videos, Craigers.
I just don't want to. But I still will interact with people. Like, I love Joey C. He's like one of my favorite characters in the Dabbleverse. He's so funny, and I watch his reaction.
Well, he must be lying. I take it all back.
No,
we love you, Joe. I'm just kidding you. I'm ribbing you.
Alex loves Joey C. He's had him on the show. He supports the channel. It's interesting.
Or where they clip him and I react. I don't react to him on stream, but I just watch him and laugh is my reaction. So it is entertaining. I get why people watch the Dabbleverse. I'm not hating on that at all. I'm saying being an active participant in it is not really beneficial.
Here's where he does have a point, though. Again, whether he's being satirical or not, here's where he does have a point, and this is the part I wanted to talk about. The part I do hate, and this is not the Dabbleverse. This is what I'm saying, where like when people get so hung up on saying the Dabbleverse, people do that. The part of all worlds, and we talked about it with Alec Baldwin. The part I can't stand is people not getting the fucking line. To me, it seems so simple. Now, maybe people would look at this show and think I'm crossing some line, so maybe I'm a complete hypocrite. But I think it's very obvious where, like, insulated shit talk, it's all goofing around, it's all fine. When you go after people's personal lives, like when I see people on Dabblers Anonymous that have a clip of John and are like, look at this fucking idiot. That's fun. When I see a post that's like, here's where I believe John is working, it's like, what are you doing? But again, that's not specific to the Dabbleverse. Look at Ethan Klein, another guy. Look at all these people. All those worlds have toxicity in it. Barstool has, like any environment like that. If you're trying to be funny, there are always people that consume that product that don't get the joke and aren't as funny as the people creating the product. And there are a lot of people that are funnier than the people they're watching. So you get a mix of both, but people always focus on the shitty thing. So I just don't, when I hear stuff like that, like, oh, the Dabbleverse is terrible. It's like, no, the 10 cunts that call comedy clubs and try to get gigs canceled and try to find people's homes and shit like that, those people are assholes. It's no one universe. So I wanted to stand up for the Dabbleverse.
Well, that's amazing since I remember many years ago, I'd be like, get me away from that place. And now you're standing up for it, which is awesome.
That's not true. I never thought that. I thought specifically, again, well, that's really not true because it was never like fans that bothered me. No, what I didn't like is the idea of talking about John all the time.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean?
It was John that bothered you. Yeah, it wasn't the fans. I didn't mean it like that. But I will say this, that I sort of was in the Dabbleverse and I started broadcasting in the Dabbleverse. And then I left the Dabbleverse because just working with people in the Dabbleverse and John stuff specifically, because I did see like this Dabbleverse 2.0 that was very insular, that wanted to keep everything about John. And I thought the cool thing about the Dabbleverse was it was like a roast practice to then take that to go out in the outside worlds and find like an Ethan Klein and use your Dabbleverse skills on Ethan Klein, but it's not. It's like a
and you're never going to get
group.
You're never going to get when strangers are coming together, consuming a product and joining forces on Reddit or wherever. You're never going to get everyone to think like you. So not everyone is going to make fun of John or Aaron or Opie or whoever. They're not going to make fun of these people the same way that I would. So you have to get over trying to control that. Like, they think what they're doing is funny. I don't get it, but I stay away from like, here's where John was this morning. Let's call the gym he goes to and like, I just don't engage with that stuff. I think it's wrong. It's not for me, really. But I can't control those adults doing that. You know.
No, there's a bad apple in every bunch, as they say.
Yeah.
At least not for what I want to do. But every time I try to go out of the Dabbleverse, I get pulled back in. So it's just
I get it, Alex.
Scarlet letter. Can't even read or speak. God, I really can't speak.
Yeah, that's happened to me too, where you do get pulled back in because
I know.
like-
If John comes back on Saturday, like he promised he would, I'm sure I'll be talking about it if it's interesting.
Yes. All right, Blind Mike. So that was.
What do we have left? I know we have Delete Laws and Woke Dad. We'll end with
That's
that.
Yeah,
That's it?
We got delete. Yep, we got
Oh,
delete.
good.
Laws
Then
and
we
woke.
timed this well. I was going to say, let's skip everything else. So that's good.
I have one
let's do
super
Delete
chat.
Laws.
If
Let's
you
hear
want to
it.
get to it real
Yeah,
quick. I miss old Howard Stern for $4.99. Alec was confronted on a public street. There's no right to privacy there. I'm sure the news.
Sure,
cameras
okay,
confront-
yes, we can play the semantic game of, well, technically the guy knows what he's doing. You know that if someone's on your sidewalk, wherever you live, filming you, yelling shitty things at you, maybe you would like that. I personally wouldn't. So we can play the semantic game of he was on the sidewalk, but the guy knows what he's doing. We all know what he's doing. You could win the argument on a technicality if you want, but just as a person, you know you wouldn't like that in front of your house, even if the guy is technically on government property.
And I believe family members were with him, which to me throws in another thing. Because if I'm just there by myself, all right, let's talk some shit, whatever. But if I'm looking over and there's my wife and 3 of my tiny kids,
right?
Get out of here.
Right.
But he says, I'm sure the news cameras confronted him the same way after the shooting. That was the last part of his sentence.
And I think that's shitty too, by the way. Confront him at fucking Starbucks if you want, but stay away from his fucking house.
That's right. All right, delete laws time.
Yes. Yeah, this is just a quick update for you who are these socialites. Delete Laws has been working on a game, and it's an important endeavor, quite frankly. I'm glad that he's working on this, and he has an update for us. He's been working tirelessly. He has done streams the last time we checked in, me and Karl, on Delete Laws. He made a multiple-hour video where he did not speak. He was simply working. We watched him work on the game. I don't know if this is like a life-size chessboard that he's making or why it's taking so much architecture. Like, I don't know what he's doing exactly, but he's spending a lot of time working on this game, and he's going to tell us about it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey, what's going on out there? Welcome, everybody.
What a genuine guy.
Rendition of Delete Laws. Thanks for coming. I have missed you guys so much, but I have been working on Constitutional Law Scholar. That is not the name of the game because it's not a game.
Oh, good.
It's real life. And so
promoting a fake
I have
game.
actually, all I've been doing is studying. I've been spending most of my time studying. I don't think I've showered in a couple few days. I have not taken a shower.
Just like Milton Bradley.
I've fallen asleep just studying. Because, so this is what I've been working on. You won't understand it or appreciate it until we come all the way back here. Okay, so this is the history of our country right there. That's the history. Let me see. Besides the Mexican in the shot right there. This is the history.
Doesn't this seem fun? It's like Chutes and Ladders.
Not psychotic at all. No, I think I saw
And by the
this
way,
in movie 13.
the big thing that contributed to the Parker brothers' success was lack of bathing, I think. It was important. They never bathed, and that's when the money really started flowing in.
Of our country right there. That's it. That's the history of the United States going all the way back to the 7 articles of the Constitution.
Is this a game about
into
slavery?
Sounds so fun.
Is he making a slavery game?
I'll tell you. I tell you who I want to be in that game. Not the slave.
I'll be Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
Oh, you're always Thomas Jefferson.
Right. And then along the top there, you're going to see the presidents and the vice presidents. And then each one of these bar graphs represents a Supreme Court justice and how long they were on the court right there. Each one of those bar graphs that represents.
Oh, so it's for kids.
And
He has 3 ring lights lighting this thing up. This thing is a production, Mike.
Can you describe what we're seeing for me?
So, you know when cops put together that thing, oh, we have a suspect, it might be like a white male, 5'10" to 6 foot,
Sure,
and they
yeah.
got like all the strings leading to the
Oh,
knife.
yeah, of course.
And then we have like a more PDF version of that. Like he did it all on his computer, but it essentially is just all the presidents in a row on top, their faces, and then bars underneath representing different lengths of time Superior Court justices serve.
Good. He's the John Nash of board games. That's very good.
And when you lay all this out, it tells you nothing. You're just looking at a bunch of information. There's no correlations to be made.
Does this sound like a fun game, gang? Who's ready? Who's ready to play Constitutional Law Scholar? That's not the real name of it, but it's the working title.
Sorry was taken.
And so then over here on this side, you can see this right here. This represents the prison industry. You see that right there? So right about, you can see where prohibition
Imagine
is.
families playing this.
Mom,
All right.
going to
Mom, you be the prison system.
I'm going to prison for 5 to 10. Well, Mom. Oh, you're going to be raped in prison. Oh,
I like the image of a young Chili DeCastro playing Monopoly, and he's sent directly to jail. And he's like, "What if this was the game? What if I just became a hardened criminal and had to go through the prison system? Now that's a board game."
You just made a board game. Prison system, the board game with delete laws. That is way better than this shit.
Prohibition is right there from 1920 to 1933. Right there, we go from 50,000 people in prison to 200,000 people in prison. And then up here, when you go to Terry versus Ohio strips away your Fourth Amendment right. And so with no Fourth Amendment right to be securing your person, no Fourth Amendment right to be securing
Why
your
is
person.
he outdoors?
Then
I think he's in a open window. He's inside, but there's like
Is
an
that-
open. It's like a gallery.
Is that
So
how they
there's, like-
constructed Clue? Was he reading up on the best way to go about this?
I studied Chutes and Ladders, and they said don't have any doors or windows when you're making this game.
All right, so Colonel Mustard gets 45 years in prison.
And don't drop the soap. Oh, you dropped the soap card. Oh, you know what that means.
and you're going to have a prison industry that does that right after that. And so I've been working really hard to get this illustration completely perfect for you. And I've added so many cases to my own repertoire. Remember, I don't have anywhere near a photographic memory. I used to say that. No, I sit and I
That's a second repertoire today, by the way. It didn't change.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's worked his way into a photographic memory. Isn't that impressive?
It is, and I'm still trying to come to terms of what this thing is. It's like an art project, but it has. I'm looking at it. It makes no sense.
It seems to be educational in nature. But I assume, like, my image of it, when he first mentioned he was doing a board game, I imagined, like, Settlers of Catan or something like that.
Dones of Dunshire.
Yeah, I was not expecting this level of complication. It seems very busy.
I mean, if he made this whole thing out of Legos, I guess then it kind of makes sense because it's kind of something. But this is just slapped up against a wall.
Well, what is he building? He's always building things out there.
This makes no sense. This is he has a guy on a ladder, or he's about to get on a ladder, and what he called the Mexican, and he's doing the work. And Chili's, I'm telling you, I can't tell what it is.
Work? If you go to fucking Milton Bradley, are they on ladders driving forklifts? It seems like it would be a small, like, intricate micro operation.
We're gonna need a rule book here. Every game comes with a rule book. We're gonna need to see, is there dice involved? What's going on here?
and I study and I study and I study and I study, and then I read it again, and then I listen to it again, and then I read it again. So
Imagine if you were getting a tour, like, this is how you make Monopoly. There's a guy in a hard hat banging, and another guy saying he's studied all night.
Baltic Avenue, Baltic Avenue, Baltic Avenue. I haven't gotten it yet. Baltic Avenue. Yes. Next one's sounds fun.
It really does. Like, we're making fun of the aesthetic, but once you hear the game described, I'm sitting in my chair, but I may as well be on a roller coaster. This thing is cruising.
Dang Lizard goes, it's a timeline. We know it's a timeline, Dang Lizard. Of what, though?
Right, it's a game. Like, what are you playing? Okay, I'm 1973. I'm
President
right after
Monroe.
the civil rights
Now what?
movement.
What's the next move after that? How do I win? Where do I build hotels?
Well, maybe he explains.
I've just been doing nothing but this. I've been doing nothing but this. So thank you guys for being members of the channels. Thank you for supporting me and believing in me. There's a board game that attaches. So now just imagine this. Now take all this information on this wall, whether it be Supreme Court case law, president, vice president, federal acts. I mean, you name it. The states where this here. When the states, the 50 states. Can you name all 50 states? Do you know when
The
they came
nice
into
thing
existence?
about this game is it has no direction. That's fun.
It's the first
Think
game
of
he
a
actually-
fact, we're including it.
Can you name the 50 states? Go. That's the game. Oh my.
States. We've got agriculture. We've got factory work. We've got is it trivia? What is the game, Chili?
Only left-handed people now. Go. it's fucking random as shit.
Here turns into a board game. The articles of the Constitution, we're going to go over each and every article over the next several months. But the thing is about the articles of the Constitution, it has to be broken down so that people can understand it. If you can't understand the articles of the Constitution, it doesn't matter what I read. So that's what the board game does. The board game siphons this down into a understandable layman's speak, so you can
So the
understand.
board game is learning the Constitution. Round 1, learn this. Round 2, what did you learn? It's just he's giving us a quiz. That for
Guessed
some
it.
reason you're building with a hammer and nails.
It doesn't make sense. We're gonna turn this into a game. No idea how, but we're gonna get to it.
And truly understand what the Constitution says. What does it mean? What are your first 10 amendments mean? Why are they there? Why are they important? So these things, the beginning of education for the masses of people. That's why I've been working on This Bad Chicken.
Yahtzee! You can tell he's a really genuine guy by how much he laughs at himself, though. Where he's like, I've been working on this bad chicken. Like I've been accused of laughing at myself too much, but I don't think it's laughing at myself. I think we're having a good time. The guys are all laughing. This is a man talking at a camera, not telling a joke, and then going, "I'm having fun." That is the mark of a true psychopath. Like a guy who just says something seriously and then goes, that's when you know that's a maniac. That's a guy who hasn't showered, who's been studying the Constitution and sitting with a soldering iron in some outdoor room that he has for some reason.
That's a man that's putting all the president's faces on the wall. That's how I'm going to start the day. We'll figure the rest out.
Zachary Taylor. I rolled Zachary Taylor.
Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm on fire. All right, this is called Time Well Spent.
Well, this is right. We're mocking him. He's going to show us it was all worth it.
We're going to break down case law step by step by step. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I have not been getting enough exercise. I've been barely getting enough sleep. I've just been studying, so that I don't come off like a dunce cap when I teach you guys the stuff I'm going to teach you.
Wait, are you playing with us? Are you going to come? Are you the dealer and you have to travel to all of our homes?
He's the dungeon master, Mike. This is Dungeons and Dragons with politics and presidents.
This game comes in 3 pieces: the board, the dice, and the man selling it.
And the cots that he can sleep on while he's at your house.
So, anyway.
Chili, I'd like to order this game. All right, you can have it April 17th. I'm free. Late afternoon, if you could. That's when I can come over with the game and teach it to you.
And I need 2 nights at a 5-star hotel in your area. That's also. So
imagine the guys at Rockstar Games, like you order Grand Theft Auto, and they're like, "All right, Laszlo will be over to your house later today. He's going to teach you all the intricacies."
I just wanted to check in with you guys, say hello, make sure that people know this. I'm going to be transferring people to a new channel with the name of the game. I can't wait. We're just a few days away. I'm sorry I haven't.
No, he has not explained the game well. And he's given off big Stephen Baldwin energy, too. Like, really close to the camera, really mugging with his eyes weird. I don't know what's going on with Stephen Baldwin, but it freaks me out when he comes up on my feed, man.
This is a man, by the way. I like Stephen Baldwin as well. He's a real kook. But this Delete Lawz is a man that is running for governor of some state. We don't know which state, but he will be running for governor eventually. And this is what he's doing.
Seeing you guys. Thank you for supporting me and being here and hitting the like button.
No, that
I'm a totally sane individual.
I didn't notice it until you pointed it out. Now I can't unsee it.
He's
you
crazy. It also annoys me how he says button. Hit the like button. He says it with
that is
D's
annoying.
instead of T's.
No button into his.
That's right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's what Chili is up to. He's doing very important work, tireless hours, studying for some reason. Again, I don't know if the guy that invented Trouble or Guess Who had to study to make the game. You know, you had to think of how to make it entertaining for people. I don't know if you had to learn facts about the Constitution.
You shrunk my battleship. Whatever the fuck it is.
The inventor of Battleship is studying nautical law.
Yeah, I say that that'd be hilarious. But I say if you get to 15,000 subscribers, Mike, we find this game wherever it's at and we play it on Patreon.
All right, I have the idea for Battleship. First, I'm going to join the Navy.
Then I'm going to become an underwriter for the JAG Law Navy office.
We should. That's a good bonus episode. We should have to play the Delete Lawz game. Based on his description, there is no way he's making it handicap friendly. There's no way I'm going to be able to play. But.
If a president, can you see a president's face or do you have to read the name? There's no Braille for faces. I'm an idiot.
No,
that's a dumb question.
There isn't.
Okay. But if maybe that's something we can work on. Face Braille.
Let's move on, shall we?
Okay. Too much rope. Woke dad time.
Let's do it. I think the first video we're starting with, Karl and Andy talked about last week, I believe, but I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. I always love a good woke dad. For those of you that don't know Woke Dad, if you're watching Who Are These Socials for the first time, we are live every Thursday at 6, usually on Karl's channel. Who Are These Podcasts? Go to whoarethese.com for that. But I like Woke Dad because if you know anything about me, if you remember the Ruth Conda tweet, boy, did I love that. To the point where we were looking up Ruth Conda's very early on in the Blind Mike project. We were looking at these up a lot because a lot of people were doing them at that time. And they kind of slowed down and we stopped talking to them. And one day, Daniel Alexander came into my algorithm and I said, this is a human Ruth Conda who is constantly lying about everything his children do and interactions that he has just out in the world. And this is one of them. So let's get into it.
Sexist world, correct? That's the one you wanted to
Oh, it's just a nasty world out there, And Daniel Alexander has a darn good example of that.
Sometimes it's easy to forget that this is a deeply misogynistic society until something happens like what just happened to me today with me and my partner, and I'm just a cis straight white dude, so I don't have this stuff happen to me all the time.
He always has to remind us what a man he is. And I'm just a dude. I just got a hard cock swinging between my legs. So I don't know the struggle. I'm all hetero. I fuck my bitch with my big prick. But I also manage to empathize with the struggle of people, And it's also, I gotta say, it's not that easy to forget what a sexist world we live in because guys like him keep reminding us. It's all people talk about is how horrible the world is. It's not that difficult. It's not that easy to avoid, quite frankly.
So this was a definite eye-opener for me. Now, we went to a car dealership because she needs a new car, and she'd been dealing with a woman on the phone and on the internet, and that woman was incredible, gave her a ton of information, and didn't drag it out, didn't play all the games that she'd get from a car dealership. So we set up an appointment to go do a test drive. And from the moment that we walked through the door, the sales rep wasn't the woman that we were talking to. She was just the internet and phone person.
Damn.
The sales rep was a sales rep, a guy. And it felt very much.
Oh, well, I already know what he said. He said, "Who's the slit, Daniel? What say us men talk cars like a couple of macho guys? Get the gash out of here." Is that what he said, Daniel? I can hear it already. These pigs, these grease monkeys.
All gash, no brakes.
Yeah.
Like this was a guy group in the sales department. We walked through the door. He didn't meet eyes with her. He met eyes with me, shook my hand, and was reluctant to shake
You're
hers.
so handsome.
And as we went through this whole process and listening to all the sales reps around with all this like locker room talk and all of the games that they play.
Anyway, so I'm
Man.
fucking this chick in the ass. Oh, you need a Honda.
What kind of storage space you want in the back? Speaking of backs, oh my God, I blew this chick's back out last night.
So this girl is sucking on my nuts just the way I like it. It's a little strange, but I tend to enjoy it that way. And she's putting a finger in my ass. Do you need something? We're locker room talking. Oh, you want a car at the car dealership? Fine. Give me 5, boys. I'll be back to talk more puss in a second.
It was just a really awful reminder that this world is incredibly full of misogyny. Now, me, I like to think I'm a pretty educated person.
Hey, you're a guy. Is this girl you brought for us to fuck? Obviously, you didn't bring someone you respect. You just brought a hole for us to fill with our cocks. Because we're guys and we like talking cars. I mean, this bitch doesn't know what a car is. She's just here for fucking.
Person, but I don't have a college degree. My sweetheart has 2 masters.
I'd buy a car from that place, by the way, that you're describing in your makeup world. That sounds fun.
It's all just high fives and
yes, just a boiler room. You just walk in. I'm gonna buy a car today. High fives, everyone.
And a PhD.
Coffee. We're just drinking Monster Energy here because we're dudes and we're jacked up. We're drinking Alpha Brain, baby.
Bring out the strippers. Here we go.
She is by far more qualified than any person in that room. And she was the first person that they wanted to ignore. It's sad, but it's the reality we live. And it's time for change.
Daniel's like, so I walked into this car dealership, and you guys know how car dealerships are. Motorheads playing, chicks got their tits out. Fucking football and porn are the only things on the televisions.
Funny thing, I sold cars for a little bit in my life, just a 3-month probational period, and then I was fired because.
How many women did you slap?
I was gonna say they taught you to be nice to both people. It was crazy. I was like, "What are we?"
Ma'am, this isn't a kitchen. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
We don't sell baking goods. We sell cars, man stuff.
Here's an apron. Get to work. We're all hungry here.
I can't believe my girlfriend bought the only car we have. It's crazy that she was able to pull that off in this man's world.
I'm sure she called a dad or a relative to help her. No woman goes in alone.
Of course, yeah. No, you know what? You're probably right. So obviously, I wasn't with her when she did it. So obviously, one of the men was there to chauffeur her.
Somewhere in America, there is a business where you can hire a father to go in to buy a car with you, young lady, so you're not alone. You can hire a man to pretend to be your father. That exists somewhere.
I say, baby, if your dad and brother are busy, just get one of the neighbors to take you to the car dealership.
Or head down to Hope Depot, just grab a man, any man out there. Day laborer, he'll work. He's a man.
Who's the slam pig, Danny?
This next one is called No New Stories.
Oh, this is devastating. I couldn't believe my eyes and ears, mostly ears, when I saw this video. This was depressing to me.
But Dan, where have you been? I haven't seen you sharing any stories or interactions.
It's really all America was saying. Dan, where have you been? I like that he's mimicking the masses. He's mocking us as if we're like, we need you, Daniel. How can we stay positive in this world? And he's mocking us for that.
Yeah, it was, where has Dan been? 1, Epstein list 2. All day today on Twitter. Trending.
The weather is frightful outside. It's been terribly cold and my mobile coffee shop stayed parked. My kids are at their mom's for the week for winter break. I haven't really had any interactions with many people. In fact, I don't get many opportunities like this to spend the entire time in my art studio, so I've been busy. And when I say busy, I mean busy. And busy. And very busy. super busy and extremely
He's
busy.
showing
and
art. He's showing like, yeah,
mugs.
You know what? Yeah, you know in Ghost when she's making that thing when Patrick Swayze's behind her, he has like a bunch of those.
Oh, pottery.
Pottery
The
stuff.
kiln. Yeah. He talks a lot about that. I gotta say, there's nothing more infuriating than when people tell you how busy they are. Like, we have hit a point in this country where people are privileged enough that they want to tell you constantly how busy they are. Oh my God, I work so hard. As if the people they're talking to don't work that hard. So Daniel likes telling you how busy he is. I would tolerate that if he was talking about the coffee shop. I'm kind of lying because I was ready to make fun of him thinking it was the coffee shop. The fact that this motherfucker is talking about his hobby, where he's like, oh my God, I am just burning the candle at both ends. I can't make heads or tails of where I am. I just keep going. And he's showing the mugs he's making. It's humiliating.
Non-colored, boring looking. I would never have one of these.
Also, I didn't realize this. I have to talk to Karl about this next week. The folks in the chat remind me. It has not dawned on me. Maybe Karl's thought of it and just hasn't brought it up. This cocksucker, are you familiar with the phrase vertical integration, Casey?
Yes, I am. I love
this motherfucker. He's a coffee salesman and he makes mugs. I never put it together. He's got a mug sweatshop and he sells coffee.
Those children are definitely a sweatshop for him. Oh my God!
I never realized it.
Hold on. You broke the case, Mike.
I don't know how I never put that together, but this motherfucker's making mugs to sell to people who drink his coffee.
If he opens a bean farm for the children, we know what you're doing, Daniel.
Unequivocally very busy. So if you know anything about my art studio, it supports kids, especially kids in vulnerable communities. And I need to be able to afford to keep the lights on. So I make stuff, I create stuff to pay for the bills. I also create stuff and make stuff to have money for renovations, because the more of the space that I get renovated, the more kids I can allow to use it.
Let me throw this idea out at you. Maybe if you can't afford to run an art studio, you shouldn't open an art studio. Maybe it's not on us to keep the lights on. Have you considered that? Like, I probably couldn't afford to open and operate a functional art studio day to day and keep it up the way I would need to and be there when people are in it, because I don't want just strangers in my art studio unmonitored. So I'd probably end up having to hire employees or something. Mm-hmm. I personally couldn't afford to keep that going. So what I've decided to do, it's actually very simple. I don't own an art studio. Daniel does. He does. It's much like we talk about with Aaron, where it's like, you don't get to come to us and be like, guys, it's expensive to run this art studio. Turn a profit. You're running a business. It's not up to us. You're selling these fucking mugs. Make more of them.
Buy some yourself. Write it off. Yeah. Taxes. Come on, man.
Kids have safe spaces to be able to create. So I haven't had any interactions with people, and that's okay.
Damn.
Don't worry. I'm sure there'll be something crazy to happen within the next few weeks. It always does.
So,
but Dan, where
have you been, damn it?
Where has he been?
I have a hypothesis here, and I'll be curious to see what Karl thinks next week. I think perhaps Daniel is aware of us in this program. I think maybe sometimes our peeps get into his comments, and I think Daniel is saying, and this is how in this guy's head we are. Daniel's like, oh, they think I make too many videos. Like he heard a criticism from us where we're like, how is this guy getting into these altercations every day? So now, for the first time in 4 years that he's been doing this TikTok, for the first time in 2+ years that we've been covering him, or however long it's been, I forget. Daniel, for the first time for like 3 days, hasn't had an interaction, and he's like, whoa, guys, so everyone take it easy. I'll have a story soon. I just had a 3-day window where there wasn't anything, because he starts making videos again a day later. Like, there was no break. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about other than addressing us subliminally. Now, as I'm saying that, maybe I sound a little fucking crazy. But am I on to something? You guys tell me. Is this a response to us trying to get us to believe that these reactions or interactions are real.
It's a response to someone, and I don't see anyone bigger covering
Right.
those assholes. So
Right.
I'm placing my bets. All right, the next one is called parenting.
Good. We can finally learn how to be good parents. It's about time Daniel gave us a little lesson in parenting.
I want you to imagine for a second that not all of us have a great relationship with both of our parents, because
All right.
that's the reality. A lot of kids from our generation, well, we don't. We don't have a great relationship with both of our parents. And if you think about that, think about the relationship you have with each of your parents. What are the reasons that you don't have a great relationship with those people? Now that you've had a
Oh my
second to
God.
think about that, I want to think about
Whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, whoa,
relationship
Daniel,
that you have
Jesus.
with
He goes, think about this very deep thing. All right, that's enough time. I was getting ready to think about it. And as I do, now that you've given me a second, Daniel, you're very pushy. I think it's because my parents were racists and transphobic. I think that's the answer. Because as I've learned from Daniel, that's the answer to literally every other question. So I suspect that that's the answer here, but maybe I'm wrong.
Greatest generation, bunch of transphobes.
That's right.
with your own children. Is the relationship you have with your own children mirroring the relationship you have with your parents? Are you going to be the parent that they want to be around because you support them for who they are, you love them for who they are, you encourage them because you're great to them, you're kind, and you love them? Or are you going to be the parent that they don't want to be around? The one that they choose to go no contact with? The one who possibly has voted against their rights?
Oh my God.
Be the parent that you wanted your parents to be.
I think we learned something about Daniel. Is it possible? Again, maybe I'm sounding a little crazy here. Did Daniel get divorced because his ex-wife was a Trump supporter?
Or he saw his parents go through that. Something happened where he witnessed a political breakup.
Oh, you know what? Maybe his parents. You might be right. But I took it as he's thinking of his kids looking at his parents. Him and
He
the
might-
because he hates his ex-wife.
Right. So I think what he's saying is both. What we're both saying. He's like, what happened to me and for watching my parents,
Yes.
and then happened to me. You got
And
a choice there.
Based on, I think he got divorced during the Trump administration, if I'm not mistaken. The first one, obviously. So it's very possible that Daniel's ex-wife was like, I don't know, this guy's got some good ideas. He's rubbing my belly here. I like what he's saying. And Daniel was like, oh my God, I have to leave you.
He seems deeply closeted, Mike. I got to be honest with you.
A lot of people have made that accusation. I won't.
I
A lot of
mean,
people have suggested that, but I'm not going to get into those tawdry conversations.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. The last one here is a proud dad. He's pride. I told you, proud dad.
Good. Let's hear what Daniel's prideful of.
Proud dad moment. My oldest texted me and asked me if I'd bring food for his friend too for after school drama practice because he knew they wouldn't have food. And just a handful of weeks ago, my daughter asked not to have flowers given to her at her play because she knew there were other kids there that wouldn't be getting flowers and she didn't want them to feel left out.
Oh my God.
When you raise empathetic kids, they do things that are empathetic and kind. They try and uplift others. And I know there are people out there who believe you should be able to lift yourself up by your bootstraps, that if you don't have, then you should just work harder for it. And if you're one of those people, you are not living in reality. Because there are so many people out there working as hard as they physically possibly can, and they're still not making ends meet. So I'm a proud dad.
That's why you're
to know
proud
that I
dad,
have
because
2
people aren't
kids.
making money?
And then his kids identified that. Oh, these are poor, so let's not show.
Let's listen to these stories. The first story we heard him tell in longer form a couple weeks ago, where he's like, my daughter said, Dad, don't bring flowers to my dance recital because some of my friends are too poor to afford flowers. And my rebuttal to that was, why don't you just buy a couple fucking bouquets? Would that be so difficult? Also, what school are you going to where none of the kids can afford flowers? Like, they have time to bring their kids to dance and all this shit. Like, they can afford whatever travel that takes, recitals and practice and all that stuff. They don't have $20 for a bouquet. That seems slightly fishy. But at least the kid is like empathetic to her friends. This story is my other kid said, "Dad, can you get us food?" That was the whole story. "Hey, Dad, can you bring food for me and my friend?"
The first story there is crazy because I've never heard a better example of like everyone gets a trophy than your daughter refusing a flower because everyone gets one. I mean, you have ruined her competition wise forever. How can she get ahead? How can
if I had friends here, let's just say me and Casey Day are hanging out at my pad, and the skirt calls me and says, "I'm picking up dinner on the way home. Do you want anything?" I would probably say, "Hey, get a little extra. My buddy Casey's here. He's going to be dining with us tonight." And what she would probably say is, "Okay, you got it." But I guess what she would be thinking is, what a generous man I've chosen to spend my life with. Oh my God. Boy, was he raised right. The fact that he didn't want to eat while the person next to him just watches him eat with an empty belly. What an amazing human. I should go online and make a video about this. I just saw a clip on Instagram the other day of all I get on Instagram is like stand-up clips. That's just my algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who this comic was. It was a good premise. It wasn't a great joke, but it was a very funny premise, I thought. The premise was that this guy posts, "Happy birthday to my 6-year-old son, Timmy. He is a ray of light," and this long, like, inspirational thing about his son. And the guy comments, "Hey, why didn't you tag your son in this?" And the original poster goes, "Well, he's 6. He doesn't have Facebook." And the other guy goes, "Yeah, no, exactly." Like, this was a message for your child that you're making us read. You just wanted us to say what a great guy you were. And that is every post from Daniel Alexander where he's like, "My son did an amazing thing today." What does that have to do with me? Why are you bothering me with it? Even it's a little annoying if you reach out to a friend and tell them that story, but strangers.
We might be looking at like a serial killer who has figured out a way to put a bunch of like videos up that when it goes to trial, I mean, oh my God, no one's going to think he's a serial killer after this.
Holy shit. You know what I just realized? Remember a couple weeks ago, we played a video of Daniel Alexander talking about how he's starting his YouTube channel because TikTok, he don't want to be on Trump's TikTok anymore. These are all TikTok clips.
Of course they are.
What the hell
Where's he
happened?
going?
He was building his YouTube. I didn't even think to check it. Next week
It came
I'll
back.
check it.
Yeah, TikTok came back, so technically it's a 2.0. I got off that first one. Now I'm on the second.
I thought, though, maybe I'm wrong. I thought because Trump brought it back, he was kind of against it. But maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, he's not very... He's a man of high morals, Mike. That doesn't sound like him.
All
a few
right,
seconds
well...
left of this guy. Hold on.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm proud to know that I have 2 kids that understand that they have privilege and they know how to wield that privilege to uplift and help others. Shouldn't we all be so proud?
I'm sorry I made you watch that.
You lucky dog.
That is awful.
All right. Well, thank you, Daniel, for uplifting us and teaching us all how to be good people. It's amazing he's the one guy that knows how to be a good person. And I appreciate, you would think some people would hoard that information to themselves, but he is kind enough to enlighten all of us.
He lets us know. And also makes a lot of coffee cups. Which like prisoners at his
A lot
house.
of mugs.
Yeah.
My fingers hurt, Mr. Alexander.
All right, we got a few super chats, and we'll get out of here. And, we got
right.
Unboxing Riley Martin coming up right after this. If Electra answers her phone. She's not answering, so we might be later. Chad's missing upper lip, $1.99. Kragers and Dan both violate kids. What? No.
I don't know about the latter.
No, Craig just, he's a fun guy. And he will also
That's
be
a
on
great
Catch.
way You're talking about like Jared Fogel. Hey, he's a fun guy. You like to party, that guy.
Not a babysitter, just a fun guy. That's it. Ding Lizard, €5. Now that he runs a sweatshop for trans umbrella kids, he has less interactions like this with people. How are all these dangerous bigots so far away?
But here's what's interesting about the mania of Daniel Alexander. The stories were lies anyways.
Yes.
So it's not like he needs to interact with people to come up with the stories, you know?
Can you imagine the what? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Imagine like the wife getting home from work and he just has one of these made up stories. That's why she's gone. She couldn't take the fucking stories anymore.
Oh my God! I saw the most racist man at the grocery store. Did you? Was he more racist than the guy you saw last week?
You're like, our daughter did the sweetest thing, and then the daughter's like, Mom, I didn't do that. His dad making it up.
Here's a phrase Daniel can never say. You won't believe what just happened. Because every story he tells is unbelievable. He can never walk into the house and go, oh my God, the most unbelievable thing happened to me. Because he's always topping himself.
Yes. All right, Blind Mike, that is all the subjects. You did an amazing
gang.
job in the mashup today. What a
It was
mashup.
fun. It was fun doing it alone, you know? By alone, I mean with Casey Day, of course. But
I didn't take offense to that, don't worry.
But I mean without... I can't think of what it is, but most
A
weeks
real
there's-
man. A
Most
real
weeks
man.
there's an ugly weight holding me down, you know, telling me what I can and can't say. So
I've
it's
never
nice to
seen
be
I've
free
never
from
seen a penis that's not mine, unlike the other man. So let's just put it that way. I love you, Carl.
All right. Well, no, we love Karl. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. I guess people will believe me if I say that. So,
Yeah.
so we love Karl, and he'll be back next week, I presume.
Blind Mike, where can people find you?
blindmike.net is where all my links are. If you're watching and you don't usually watch Who Are These Socials, but you're watching, I'm sorry, if you don't usually watch my channel, but you're watching today because it's Who Are These Socials, subscribe. You'll always know when we go live. You'll know when Why You Laughing goes up, all that good stuff. We post clips of all our episodes, all the different segments. We'll probably post a few videos from this one, hopefully.
Yeah.
And
yes.
we have a Patreon. You can become a YouTube member. All those links are at blindmike.net. You can also listen wherever you get podcasts if you want to support us there. Leave a 5-star review. And go to whoarethese.com because that's where you can support old man Karl. If you made it through this episode and you think it's just not the same without the hamburger, then go to whoarethese.com and support Karl. And you can also support my friend Casey Day by going to hackridethedemon.com. And you guys will be, when do you start? Right after this or a little later?
We're
tonight?
going to try to start right after, but whatever. Just keep your phones over on the or TVs on the HACKRIDE studios. We'll be starting up soon.
Well, wake
Or
up,
by tomorrow.
Electra.
Yes, wake up, you see.
And enjoy HACKRIDE tonight. Any of you Howard Stern fans, they're talking about Riley Martin.
It's Riley's amazing. So much different energy than Eric.
Are you doing it the same way where you're kind of
Yes.
going chronologically?
Yes, Riley has a lot more bigger gaps in between and a lot more visits, and so it's a different vibe. A lot more like Howard's more engaged. Eric is a lot of work. I mean, he can barely talk, but that's what makes him great. But
Riley,
Riley's-
I don't know a ton about Riley, but he was more part of the show. Like it wasn't necessarily about him every time he was on, or am I wrong about that?
Oh, Riley was all about Riley. Riley was
okay.
somewhat
All right.
like think of him as like a cult leader. And then as time goes on, the cult leaves, and all he has is just his jugs full of piss and a guy taking a screen in his calls. And it's amazing. And so, yes, follow that tonight. Thank you. And Blind Mike, it's always a pleasure.
See you, everybody. Oh, and have the day you deserve.
It's a mashup. It's a mashup. Blind Mike, who are these? It's a mashup. It's a mashup. Mike now runs the show.